Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to get you styled up with Stitch Fix. Shopping's hard. It's hard. With Stitch Fix, you get a stylist, though, who understands your style, your size, your budget, and they do all the shopping for you.
Wow.
This is excellent. Shopping, I'm telling you, shopping and figure out your style, it's overwhelming. Let somebody help you when it comes to getting dressed. We don't know what we're doing, so we let Stitch Fix help us out. A Stitch Fix stylist there. They know what works on us. We get the prices that make us look really good, and it feels good. You get some confidence boost walking around knowing that you're looking decent here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we just give the stylist our sizes, style, budget preferences. We order boxes when we want, how we want, no subscription or any of that required. And they send called Just For Me pieces as well. Like, maybe you'd like this, and it's awesome. Outfit recommendations, styling tips. You keep what you love, you send back the rest. It's super easy.
Yep.
You can do it, and we are doing it because it's excellent. Personal styling for everyone. Get started today at stitchfix.com/STM. That's stitchfix.com/STM.
Now back to the show.
Hey everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you about Noom. Has Noom helped you? I believe it has.
Oh, that's got an app. You can do tracking. It's terrific.
It does. And Noom builds personal plans that can meet individual needs. That's the thing. Takes into account any dietary restrictions, medical issues, other personal needs. That helps build a plan that works for you. And yes, so I know that you've had your own personalized program here that you've been working on. And
it's weight loss This is weight loss results that last. They stick around because you get yourself into a lifestyle change. That's what matters.
That's mainly it. You can't just say, I'm going to cut that out for a month and then go back to it. That's not what it is. So I'm glad it's helping you. That's great. And it really does. I like the psychology and biology-based approach here. Yeah. Noom Weight uses psychology. That's why they say losing weight starts with your brain, but it also takes into account your unique biological factors, Jimmy. All of your multitude flora and fauna that goes on inside of you there. Sure. Yeah. Stay focused on what's important to you with Noom's psychology and biology-based approach. Sign up for your trial today at Noom.com, Noom.com here. Based on 3.5-year study of actively engaged Noom users with minimum starting BMI of 25. Individual results may vary. Visit our website for more information.
Thumbtack presents the ins and outs of caring for your home. Out, procrastination, putting it off, kicking the can down the road. In, plans and guides that make it easy to get home projects done. Out, carpet in the bathroom. Like, why? In, knowing what to do, when to do it, and who to hire. Start caring for your home with confidence. Download Thumbtack today.
This week in T, South Dakota, when the police chief's wife is viciously killed in her own home, the whole thing goes from just plain sad to sad and very dirty and very twisted very quickly. Welcome to Small Town Murder. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Small Town Murder.
Yay!
Oh, yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I am Jimmy Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us today. We could not be more excited, which is a strange thing to say before we tell a story about a terrible murder, but still, we like to hang out together, and we like to hang out with all of you, and this is great. Thank you. Also, just want to thank everybody before we get started. Little house cleaning for your reviews this week. 5 stars on Apple Podcasts helps a lot. We don't know why, but that purple icon, get on there and help us out. Also, head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now for everything crime and sports and small town murder, especially merch. How many shirts? There's so many shirts and things and bags and shoes and you name it.
Expanding, yes.
It's ever expanding, just library of things there. And in addition to that, tickets to live shows all throughout 2022.
Can't wait.
Yeah, and a lot. I can't wait either. And a few at the end of 2021. And just so you know, if you're like, oh, well, those are next year, I'll get my tickets later. These are all rescheduled from 2020. So a lot of them are close to sold out or sold out. So if you want tickets, I know it's weird, but you kind of have to get them early. So just let's get on there. I know it's a strange thing to buy a ticket for something that's like 14 months from now, but that's kind of just the way the cookie crumbled here. So
that's the world we live in.
That's right. Also, patreon.com/crime and sports is where you need to be. My goodness, are the episodes crazy and fun over there. We try to keep it a variety of different things, murdery things, lighter things, and we've had some very murdery things lately. We had the Son of Sam stuff and the cult stuff and all that. So this week's going to be a little bit different, and we're going to do some silly things, which is awesome. Our funniest things are when they're really silly. So for the crime and sports one, in honor of Father's Day, we are going to do the all paternity team, which is the athletes with the most amount of kids, and it will help to have the most amount of mothers and the least amount of child support paid. That'll be the criteria there, and we're just going to have a ball with that. That'll be a lot of fun. And for small town murders, we are going to do 1-star or just bad reviews of small town, like mostly motels, because for some reason, a bad motel review, there's nothing better. The vitriol people have for it is just awesome, because they're sitting in filth writing it, these fucking place. So it's so funny, and we're going to have a ball.
Surprised you haven't taken to that yet.
No, I don't care about review. I'm not going to review it. So,
but we're going to review it to me.
That's exactly right. I'll tell you what other people think, and I'll tell you what I think, and no one else.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that. It'll be like motels and small town businesses that are just disasters, and these kind of middle of nowhere places where they don't care about service at all. It'll be very funny, and you get access to both shows, of course, on Patreon. You get access to everything at patreon.com/crime and sports, and you're a producer, so that means that you earn our undying affection. Not earn, you just get it, because it's you bought our undying affection. You can buy us for $5 a month. You can buy our undying affection, and for that, you also get a shout out at the end of the show. Jimmy will say your name poorly, but he'll try his best. So that's the way that's going to work. It's going to be a lot of fun. And let's get to the disclaimer quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, Game of Crimes quickly. Also, subscribe to Game of Crimes. We put the trailer up last week. Okay. It is the first show of our new network, the Upside Down Network.
Right.
And we wouldn't be giving it to you if we didn't think it was awesome. Put it that way. Terrific. We really trust us. The 2 shows we're going to put out are incredible. Game of Crime, subscribe to it right now everywhere and do your thing there. Disclaimer, this is a comedy show. It is. It's also a murder show. So we're going to have murder, and then there's going to be jokes. We do know how to separate those things. That's the thing. If you're like, well, you can't do that. You can, though, because it's murder isn't funny. The act of murder isn't funny. You don't. No. While someone's dismembering someone, you're not like, that's hilarious. But if they're dismembering them because they think if they, scatter each part around in a different neighbor's yard, no one will find anything and they'll get away with the murder, that's kind of funny. Just their thought. That's the things that are funny. See, that's how this show works. And we go out of our way not to make fun of the victim or the victim's family.
Why?
Because we're assholes.
What?
But we're not scumbags. That's how that works there. So if that sounds good to you, we're going to have a good time. If not, you don't think true crime and comedy should ever go together, it might not be for you, but it might be. So I would stick around, maybe try to loosen up by sitting back and shouting, "Shut up and give me murder." Yes. All right. Let's do this, Jimmy.
Can't wait.
Let's go on a trip, shall we?
We shall.
We shall. We are going all the way. We're coming from South Carolina, and I said, let's keep it going with the Souths, and we're doing South Dakota now.
Terrific.
We're going all the way to South Dakota.
Like golf
TEA.
or like
TEA, like a cup of tea, South Dakota. Cup of South Dakota. It's in southeastern South Dakota. It's right where it goes into a little panhandle down there. Yeah, so it's into where Iowa is and Nebraska. In between, it's a little wedge of South Dakota, a little panhandly wedge. It's about 20 minutes outside of Sioux Falls.
Is there any place called Barely? Because this should be Barely, South Dakota.
It's barely South Dakota. It really is. It's close to not South Dakota, but this is very South Dakota. Okay. So it's right outside Sioux Falls, for whatever that's worth. Yeah. It's about 2.5 hours down to Omaha, if you want to go someplace worse than this, I'm sure, because it's worse than everything, so it's got to be worse than this. And 35 minutes to Canastota, South Dakota, which is our last South Dakota episode, Jimmy. Wow. You'll never believe when that was. Episode 72.
October of 2019?
June 6th, 2018, that came out.
Holy shit.
It's been 3 years since we've been to South Dakota.
My.
Sorry, South Dakota, but hopefully people will care. I don't know. The thing is, nobody lives there, so it's difficult, and people go, South Dakota. Anyway, it's in Lincoln County, one of the several hundred Lincoln counties throughout the country here. Area code 605. It's about 3 square miles, so it's a small town.
Tiny.
And we'll buzz through the town stuff because the murder's pretty thick, so we got to get to that. The motto of this town is Tea, a growing tradition. Mm-hmm. Literally, the T, ellipses, a growing tradition.
Oh, boy.
And
how growing is it?
Well, in the town, the tradition is more known for the second motto, which is tea bagging, an even stronger tradition, which I guess when you get there, I don't know if that's how they initiate you into the town or what. But the town, sorry, I know that was immature.
How
but
many
I couldn't
people
help it.
have actually teabagged?
I mean, and been like, hey, I'm doing it. I don't know. Like, as a joker in some sort of, Yeah, I don't think, I think most teabagging, I'm going to say, is man on man. Yeah. I'm going to say it's 97% man on man.
I bet you the vast majority of teabagging that has actually been done was during a pledge week of some sort.
Or somebody passes out and you're like, take a picture of me teabagging fucking Johnny, like weird shit. Guys are weird, man.
The whole
Chicks
idea
never do that. Chicks wouldn't be like, oh, she fell asleep. Here, take a picture of me grinding on Heather's forehead with my vagina. That's probably not happened.
Watch me snail trailer. Watch this.
I'm gonna put my butthole right on her nose. I'm gonna see if she makes her like cough and lose out.
They call it a banana split because you put the labes on the nose and it looks like a scoop of ice cream.
We have gone very far in the first 8 minutes of this show, I would say. This is way more sexual than the town shit usually is, all I gotta say, but let's do it anyway. So apparently they needed a name for the town. The town's name was Byron. Byron, and this is, I don't know, some Byron. So 1894, when they laid all this out, they found out at a meeting that the postmaster said there was already a Byron, so you couldn't use Byron. Right. So they said shit. The town fathers sat down and they had a big meeting. They had the community select 10 short names, and they pick one out of that. They wanted a short name for some reason. I don't know why. That was very important to them. They said they sat around. They came up with 9 names, couldn't think of a 10th. They always drank afternoon tea here because it was like a German-based community. And so they said they would take a break for tea, and they said, well, let's put tea on the list then. That sounds interesting.
Round number 10.
Yeah, and then they said, we'll take that one. And they named it Tea. So actual tea is the reason why this town is named for this shit. Little piece of history. I looked through all the history and I found something kind of funny. So a guy named John Heron was the first postmaster. And it's a pretty rural out there in 1903 when he starts delivering shit out there, I would say. He's going out to the middle of nowhere. And he's the first postmaster, And then Henry Heron, which I think was his brother, is the first mail carrier going out to all these rural routes.
I like it, yeah.
He started in 1903 and was dead by 1906.
That's how hard that job is.
I don't know if he was killed on the job or just, bad health of the, early 20th century or what. Yeah. But he died. So then his wife, Flora, took over his mailbag.
I love it.
She just said, I'll take it, and carried the mail for the next 30 years.
Wow.
She continued going 30 years. Flora, the mail lady, was coming. She was there, and then she died 30 years later. Like I said, not sure on the job or what, whatever. But then since she died, not a speck of mail has been delivered anywhere near here. No, I'm just kidding. Can you imagine? That was it. And they've got no mail since.
It just piles up.
They're waiting for volunteers. Anybody want to do it? It's open.
We can't get into the system. Flora died with the passwords. We can't hire anybody.
We don't know what she did. Yeah, she's got the little, those boxes have little tiny keys. We don't know where.
I don't know which goes to which.
She had a key ring, but it was all bigger bigger keys. Like it was a couple of the doors. I don't know, but none of those little ones. So we don't know what to do. No one can get in there.
Fuck it.
So, anyway, so they picked T because it was short and they liked T. Okay. Anyway, I found reviews of this town, and they're all pretty good. I couldn't find any real bad ones here. Okay. So it's the opposite of what our Patreon episode's going to be. Here's a 5-star review, and they love it. They make it sound like they're like a Disney princess in a fantasy land. The town of T has been an amazing experience from living here. This community is very close, friendly, respectful, and it is truly a family here in this town. We all support our small local businesses, the amazing school, and the education it gives students, including myself, and the town especially loves our sports.
Okay.
They're very excited about this place.
3 square miles. They've got sports.
They've got sports, probably high school sports, I would imagine.
Even still.
Either way. Well, Sioux Falls is where South Dakota State University is, I believe, too. So you could go there. And that's 20 minutes away.
Sioux Falls is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a bigger place. Here's 5 stars. I quote, I've lived in T all my life. I have had 2 amazing jobs here, along with a group of lifetime friends. The people here are so warm and welcoming. By the way, how old do you think this person is? 48 from the sound of it, the tone of it?
Young, yeah.
But you think about 48, mid-40s probably from the tone?
They've had
I've
2
lived
amazing
here all
jobs.
my life.
They're
Amazing
19.
group of lifetime friends, though. You know, it sounds like a very older person. The people here are so warm and welcoming. I have never had any big issues in this town with my 17 years of living here. So it's a 17-year-old. Yeah, 17, I think. And I've here and have never locked my car when I have to leave it outside. I have never had a bad day here. It's a wonderful smaller town if you want to stay near the city, but also far enough away from the city that you don't have to worry about anything bad going on.
Never had a bad day?
Never had a bad day here.
Oh,
you understand?
Good for you, you bragging fuck.
This place is just, bluebirds are landing on their shoulders. Do you understand? This is, can you imagine? Can you imagine living somewhere and go, never had a bad day? It's amazing. It's South Dakota. You know how cold it gets there in the winter? That's a bad day. How about a day when the wind chill was negative 27? What do you think of that? Was that a good day? Was everybody thrilled?
Bill Gates has all the money. I guarantee he has bad days.
Well, he's having a lot of bad days right now.
He's going to lose a lot of that money.
A lot of his shit's coming out, so it's
Melinda's giving that money away.
a lot of sexual stuff's coming out of it. Wow, he's banging this one and banging that one. But I mean, what do you expect? I don't know.
Yeah.
I expect billionaires to bang people. I feel like that's why dorks like that make $1 billion, so they can have sex with everything that moves, because no one would ever have sex with him.
Yeah, look at his face and his body. Of course he needed money.
No one wants to have sex with him.
No.
There's, he needed a lot of motivation. Not even a little. Just being a rich guy, just driving like a nice car, that wouldn't have done it. He had to be like, I'm in the top 5 richest people on the planet. Do you understand? Like,
yeah.
That's it's
the weird sex. Like, you need the money or some sort of status to get that weird sex. Otherwise, you're financing the shit that you do own to get that weird sex.
Sex where you have to like offer expensive things in the middle of the act to keep it going.
Don't worry, I'll also put rims on that car.
Yeah, exactly. You have to keep it going. It's a long story.
Just keep sucking.
So here's a 3-star review. Too much sexual content here in the top of the show.
Sorry.
For us. No, we keep doing it. I don't know why. It keeps coming up. The word tea is just, I don't know why. It just keeps opening up. It started with teabagging. It's gone from there. We're sorry about this. So 3 stars. No, I'm not sorry. Fucking, we're having fun. 3 stars. T has the small town feel while remaining a good size. You get the good public school city, but the small town of caring of teachers. The amount of attractions and businesses could always be improved. So 3 stars. Everything's great. They could use a couple more restaurants is what they're saying. So
it's 3 square miles, man.
Yeah. I don't know how much more shit you want. It's 20 minutes away. Go to Sioux Falls. They probably have stuff. I don't know. So this place, very small. As of 1980, this is right around when our story is going to take place in the early 80s, there was only 729 people here.
My God.
And that was a big boost. It was only 302 in 1970. So it's gone a lot here. Right now, the population, 4,866. So it has
people never having bad days.
Happy-go-lucky people whistling, zippity-doo-dah down the street.
So awesome.
It's up 519% since 1990. It's just climbed a lot. Female, male, there's a couple more males than females. Median age, very young here, 28 and a half, which is usually about 38. Every demographic under 44 years old is very high, and everything older is very low. So it's just, I don't know if it's college kids and people who just maybe, I don't know, they went to college, they met somebody and got married and moved to the suburb out there, and now they're like 26, and I don't know how the fuck this works. That could happen. Very much a kind of a family town, 68% married population, which is
fascinating.
Way over the normal 50-50. It's very few single with no children people here, so it's pretty family here. Race of this town, 96.3% white.
Jesus.
So, but it's South Dakota. That's just pretty much about what I expected. 0.5% black. That is not a lot of. That's a family or two.
Right.
That's few enough where people go, I saw the black family today. Like, hey, it was cool. I said hi, and I know the guy. He's a pretty nice guy, and I was very excited about it.
He said I need to up my shoe game, and I moved on.
Said my shoes were terrible, and I agreed with him. He's right.
I appreciated it.
I let him get it. I let him get dirty, and I didn't clean them. And these laces, $3. I could have a new pair of laces. Look much better.
So I'll be on Amazon if anybody needs me.
There you go. I'm going to check this out. So 0.0% Asian, 0.0% Native American, which is weird for this area.
South Dakota,
this is definitely, formerly an area heavily populated by Native Americans.
And still is, isn't it?
Yeah, but not here, apparently. 2.9% Hispanic, so it's pretty white. Religion here, 42% religious, so that's kind of there's a lot of younger people, so that's to be expected also. Mostly Lutheran, 19% Lutheran.
Oh,
Lutheran, the Baptists of the Northern Plains regions. I don't know what to make. Lutheran. Yeah, they're all Lutherans. A couple of Presbyterians thrown in there. 0.0% Jewish, though. That's not happening out here. Politically, 37% of the people voted Democrat in the last election. 60% voted Republican. This is in the whole county, in Lincoln County. And 2.5% independent. And economy, as far as that goes, very low unemployment rate here. There's a lot of jobs in this area, in the Sioux Falls area.
Okay, yeah.
It's a low population and a good amount of jobs, so it's it stays pretty balanced well. 2.5% unemployment here, which is like. That's in the range of we can't staff anything because there's not enough people. So median household income is high here. Normally it's about $57,000 in the rest of the country. Here it's $79,978. So $80,000 a year, which is pretty damn good. More than 3 times the amount of financial and insurance related jobs here than normal. So it's a lot of white collar stuff here. Cost of living, 100 is average, normal. Here it's 92. It's not that cheap. Housing's an 84 out of 100. Median home cost, $195,900. So not that expensive. And if we've convinced you, damn it, you need to head up to if you want to really start practicing your Lutheranism, we have for you the T South Dakota Real Estate Report. Your average 2-bedroom rental here goes for about $960 a month. So it's actually a little bit cheaper than kind of in line with the housing, though. 3-bedroom, 1-bath house I found here, 1,226 square foot. I'm going to be honest, it's not great.
No, and it's small.
It's not a great house. Needs a lot of work is the problem. There's a lot wrong with it. It's got some looks
tiny,
like some.
And I got to go to Home Depot.
Yeah, some rooms are like half painted, where they started a wall and then they didn't finish it, and it's like half purple and half primer.
James, I can relate.
It's not terrific. $144,900. So you're gonna have to put a little elbow grease into that one, though. I found a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, 1,903 square feet. It's nice. Nice house, clean. One problem. It's orange. And I mean, it's very orange.
Like bright orange.
Like it looks like it's John Elway's house or some shit. Like it's so orange. It's
dark,
just like
dark
Bronco orange. It's very orange. Yeah, it's wild. So kind of interesting. But $315,000 for this. Okay. It's a nice house. Then I found a 4-bedroom, 3-bath. Still no T-bowls and B-holes matching up here. 3,571 square foot. It's a spacious, nice house. Very nice. It's on 2 acres.
Fuck yeah.
And no one appears to be around you. It looks like you're kind of in the middle of a plain. You can feel like you're in a Western.
It's a dream.
$685,000.
That's wonderful.
It's not too terrible, actually.
For space? Under $1 million? Way under.
You got to put some trees up or something. Otherwise, it's fucking going to look depressing. There's just nothing there.
Yeah.
Like, it seems
it's
very
almost out of place.
It seems random, you know?
Yeah.
Like, is that a meth shack? Just a nice one? Because why is it in the middle of nowhere?
Are there dirt roads to it, or is it like paved and everything?
I mean, I don't know what's around it. There's a road leading by it. It's like kind of off the highway. So
yeah.
It's like a highway.
I don't want an address where number Route 6. I don't want that.
I don't want to go like, all right, I'm going to go drive to get the mail. Be back in 20. Like that's it's going to drive down to the highway to get it off that weird mailbox.
Make a sandwich for me in the meantime. I'm hungry.
Taking some lunch with me. Things to do here. They've only one thing to do, and it's Teapot Days. That's the name of this.
Oh boy. It used to be called Teabag Day.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I was like, I was just going, come on. Yeah. I mean, it's
they changed it.
So Teapot Days. Come join the fun at Teapot Days. Enjoy all of our great events. Fun for all ages. Don't miss the kids' tractor pull. Oh. Okay, now are the kids driving the tractors? Are the tractors pulling children? What are we doing here?
Are we pulling tractors with children in them?
Are we harnessing things to children and making them pull? I don't know what's happening. But
I want it to be the children driving.
I want it to be the children
hilarious.
Pulling. I want to see like 6 little kids in harnesses, like oxen, trying to pull something. It's in the mud while they fall down and cry.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would be funny, but it kind of would. They can't really get hurt or anything.
Right.
But they're miserable. It's like, you know what? Life sucks, kid. Life really sucks, doesn't it? Yep. I'll get you. That's what life is. It's pulling something that doesn't move as you tread in the mud and don't go anywhere forward and then fall down every once in a while. Get up and do the same shit and never advance. That's life. Enjoy.
And then when you're done, there's no reward.
Yep. There you go. Okay, kid. There's a carnival, vendor booths, fireworks, blah, blah, blah. So I found the schedule for this fucking thing, and this is going on like, I think it just happened last week.
Really?
Or it could be going on right now. It just happened. It's over with now. All sorts of bands and a dart tournament. We got a kids pedal pull, which I don't know what the hell that is.
That sounds like a pedal car tractor pull right there.
Something. Crowning. This is the thing here. The crowning of Ma and Pa Teapot.
This I can get behind.
You put the teapot crown on your head, which I assume looks like a teapot.
Yeah.
And you look fucking ridiculous.
Are they married? It's a married couple, or is it like...
No, I think it's like prom
Fred
king
looks
and
like
queen.
shit, but his wife is hot, so let's take her.
I think it's prom king and queen style. It's not couple-based. It's an individual award, I believe.
I don't like that at all.
That's not going to work out well. It's going to cause some problems.
It's going to make fights happen.
There's a Junior Achievement 5K bacon run. So I don't know if you have to eat bacon and then run 5K and see who's still left afterwards, whose heart didn't explode like Reggie Lewis during practice. I don't know what's going on here. So
head her into the hardwood of the garden.
I found a couple of bands.
Yeah.
One, this is hilarious. That's if they play after the bacon run, called, quote, DNR, do not resuscitate, which is how perfect is that to line that up right after a 5K bacon run? You eat bacon,
funny.
die, and then they sing songs as you're dying about how they're not going to resuscitate you. And then one called Guilty Pleasures is playing after that.
Oh.
So I don't know what that would be in this area, but... And then crime rate, what we're interested in, is it's low. Property crime's about 1/3 under the national average, so pretty low, and it's near a college, too, so that's very low for an area like that.
They're tired, James. They're letting that bacon course through their veins.
That's true, and they know they're not being resuscitated, so they really got to take it easy. Violent crime, murder, rape, robbery, and, of course, assault. The Mount Rushmore of crime is about half the national average. So
great.
That's it's pretty safe. That said, let us definitely talk about just a horrible murder that happened here, shall we?
I would love that.
nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So let's get into this. Let's jump right in the middle of this bad boy, and both feet diving right in. And I always say that I'm diving in with both feet, which makes no sense because if you're diving in, you'd be diving in forward.
Face first, right?
That's you can jump in with both feet, I guess.
Disregard is by the face.
Yeah.
Why are you being so careful, you Nancy? What's the matter?
I don't get it. Jump in.
There.
Yeah, what's the difference between your face and your under half?
Right.
If you're jumping in with your both feet, that means in less than a quarter of a second, whatever's that is going to be there is going to be in your taint and balls and asshole. So that's not good.
Or you're about to lose your legs.
Yeah, or your legs. None of these things are all as valuable as your face.
Yeah.
So I would think that your undercarriage is more sensitive than your face. Your face can take some abuse.
Would you jump in a wood chipper by the feet? No, you're jumping in right into the face.
Oh, head first. Yeah, get it over with. Let's do it. So this murder, June 16th, 1983. Let's go back to it. All right. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. All right. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and the sheriff's called.
Uh-oh.
Sheriff's coming on in. Now, it's the sheriff of Lincoln County. Sheriff Albers is his name.
Hell yeah, it is.
Albers. So Albers comes in here, and he comes in the house. He pops into this house. He's called there, obviously, that they think somebody might be dead. Oh. So they pop in, and he finds Barbara McDowell, who is a 37-year-old woman, married, mother of one. And, by the way, she's married to the town of T's chief of police as well.
Oh.
So she's the wife. Yeah, she's the wife of the chief of police here. So kind of a big deal if she's just dead in her house from, what looks like some kind of trauma. So they call the county coroner and a forensic pathologist. They're both called to the scene of this woman here, Barbara McDowell. And they both, now this is the county coroner and a forensic pathologist, both tell the sheriff here that her death could have been accidental.
Oh.
Now, could have been accidental. She could have fell and hit her head here. Now, there's a little bit of, we're working on it, though. That's an expert's opinion now, mind you, forensic pathologist. Now, the sheriff said, quote, "I had a gut feeling that something was wrong."
Okay.
Now, this is going to be very funny in a second. Trust me on this. The three people are going to look very stupid here. So Sheriff Albers says he was called to the home shortly after 1 a.m. He's called by Edward McDowell, who is the T chief of police.
Yeah.
The town's chief of police. Also in the house at this time are McDowell's brother and his sister-in-law, who are James and Linda McDowell. So they're in the house as well. And friends of theirs, Ron Plucker and his wife, Darlene Plucker.
Yeah.
So the Pluckers are here.
Yeah.
His brother, his sister-in-law, and the Plucker family are all in attendance here. So let's find out what these
Plucker. Yeah.
I was going to say, let's see what these mother Pluckers are doing here at 1 o'clock in the morning. Why are people here with a dead, and Barbara McDowell, obviously, who is no longer with us. So
and the chief was at work, or was he in the house also?
We'll get to. He's there now.
Okay.
When the sheriff arrives, that's who's in the house. There's 5 people there.
Got it.
So, 6 if you count the deceased Barbara.
Yeah.
So
there's 6 bodies.
6 humans are there. 5 of them are sentient at the moment.
Got it.
So the sheriff says that he found Barbara's body on the kitchen floor, covered with a blanket.
Yeah.
Okay. He said, quote, this is, wow, quote, "I ascertained she was dead."
Okay. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Which is really trying to squeeze some police lingo into his work there. Makes him sound like, I did policing things.
It's fascinating.
So
5 people are there, and it's like there's a party going on, and she dies, and they're like, we'll just put a blanket over her. No need to get excited.
Keep on going. Yeah. Another scotch and soda? Right on, buddy. And he's pouring it. Here you go. There's music still playing. Strobe light going on. No, this is, I ascertained she was dead. Now, normally, like a layman like you could come in and you could try to find out if she's dead, but that's not what a trained professional, such as a show. I ascertain whether her status of death or aliveness, and that's a very professional thing to do. See, that's why they pay me.
And a professional insight, you see a blanket, dead giveaway.
Dead giveaway. And someone, hey, you know what? Not breathing, blanket over, on the floor, dead giveaway. Called the sheriff, said she was dead. I figured out she was dead. So he said, and I only make fun of this guy because you'll see why. He said, quote, and I noticed a little blood in her nostril. All right. Oh. So there was very little bleeding going on. There wasn't a lot of blood around at all. There's just a little blood in her nostril. And so he said he lifted up her head, and then he said a bunch of blood gushed out of the back of her head, is what he said. But he didn't see any wound. He just said it like fell out like, it was magic blood. I don't know what happened.
Like
it was
just fell
in the
out
Shining.
The follicles.
Yeah, like there was no source of it. It just flooded the hallway, and these two little girls were there, and it was, I don't know what happened.
You ever seen those rainfall shower heads? Kind of like that.
It was a little like that. So he said that it gushed out, and no wound. So according to him, she was wearing a sailor-style tie. So I guess that's kind of the crossover.
Right.
She's a very conservative woman, Barbara, by the way, and she's got kind of conservative garb on. This was pulled over her face so that the knot was between her eyes.
Oh.
Like pulled kind of up, you know what I mean?
Like a Tupac bandana.
Yeah, if you pulled your shirt up like that, and then your knot was there, and then your sailor strap's coming down, which would have been an interesting look for Tupac had he decided to adopt it. And if he lived, you never know. He could have.
Today, could have went.
Could have went with like a sailor style tie as in the future. Who knows? So he says, quote, I asked those present if anyone had placed the tie over her face, maybe out of respect for the dead. They all said no one had touched the body. And Ed, who is the chief of police, he said he had not touched the body at all.
Yeah.
So nobody's touched the body. So the coroner, by the way, I got to give these people's names because of their wonderful work here. Donald Anderson and Dr. Brad Randall, who is the Sioux Falls forensic pathologist. They're the ones that went, looks like an accident to me. They said, this is the quote. They told Albers, quote, Mrs. McDowell might have hit her head on a stove handle after slipping on the throw rug.
Okay.
That is their, fucking Columbo. We figured it out, everybody. Yeah. She slipped on the throw rug, hit her hand on the stove. Well, we're sorry for your loss, sir. We'll get out of your house here. Everybody go back to partying. So the sheriff he said that he looked at the stove handle and it wasn't damaged at all.
Okay.
Now, we've all had to have a stove in our house.
Right. Yeah.
The handle's pretty sturdy. But if you hit your head on it hard enough to kill you, it would probably damage the handle of the...
Should leave a dent, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's probably not as hard as your head. I don't know. I mean, if you have an industrial... I don't know.
Yeah. And if you put your head on it hard enough to kill you, you got a crack, there's an abrasion, there should be some blood or some hair. Some sort of biological remnants on it.
Yeah, it's not going to be a clean just blink, and then she's just dead, and you lift her up, and blood falls out of an unknown source. So
it's a hell of a stove you got.
That's a strong stove.
Yeah.
It's a magic stove.
What is that? Is it a Sub-Zero brand? What is that?
What is that? A Viking? That's a nice one. Oof, boy. Them Vikings are nice nowadays.
The Vikings, that's the thing. That's why they call them Vikings, because the knobs have like sharp edges on them. They're real sharp.
You could kill with impunity with a Viking. Yeah. That's what you do. That's why people have those in their houses.
Yeah.
He said that, this is the sheriff, quote, that handle would have bent before her head did. I thought, something stinks. That's his quote. Handle would have bent before her head did. I thought something stinks here. So he, something really, you think so?
Yeah.
What? This is a stunningly... barely competent police work. That's what the thing is. He wasn't like, I was like, what are you, out of your fucking mind? Because that's what he should have said. I hit one like fucking, I played Mo, and I hit one like Curly and one like Larry and told him to get the fuck out of my face, you incompetent assholes. Then I called in the state people to do something because these provincial local dickheads obviously don't know what the fuck they're doing. Stupid idiots. They thought the goddamn stove handle would, if he said that would be completely warranted and understood.
Went to college for this shit for you to say that? How dare you? That. You call yourself a doctor?
I hope you paid your parents back, you sorry son of a bitch.
Dr. Pepper has more goddamn medical knowledge than you do.
I would rather make an appointment with Dr. Pepper, licensed gynecologist.
Dr. Scholes, Dr. Dre, anybody. Other doctor.
Anybody. And not even Dr. Dre, like, Dr. Dre from MTV.
Right,
that's who I'm talking from Yo MTV Raps in the 80s. Him, the fat one.
Yeah.
And Ed Lover. I'd rather have Ed Lover look
yeah.
into this. I don't care. I feel like he'd have more goddamn experience than this. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about the safest sponsor ever, Simply Safe. Absolutely. These people will keep you safe. It's amazing. You know that every 26 seconds a burglary takes place in the United States, according to the FBI. That means that by the time this podcast is over, dozens and dozens of homes will have been targeted, ransacked. God knows what happens here. So protect your home before it's too late with Simply Safe proactive security system. Simply Safe helps stop threats before they even have a chance to break in. Named Best Home Security System by U.S. News and World Report 5 years in a row. And by us for about the last 8 years as well. If you trust us, believe me, you want Simply Safe. So visit simplysafe.com/small to claim 50% off a new system with professional monitoring plan and your first month free. That's simplysafe.com/small. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Now back to the show.
This show, Small Town Murder, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Get yourself some therapy, everybody. Honestly, here. We often hear about, red flags that you should avoid. Hey, that's a lot of a thing. It's become a real phrase now, real cliche. Yeah. But why don't you focus also, you look at like green flags in friends and partners. Look for good things as well. Right. And maybe you're not sure what that looks like, though. Therapy can help you figure that out. What are positive things? What are the green flags? And then you can practice them in your relationship. It's absolutely a fact. And so, honestly, we absolutely are huge advocates for this. It really, really helps. BetterHelp is fully online, making therapy affordable. It's convenient. They serve over 5 million people worldwide. You can access a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists, wide ranges of specialties there. Here's the coolest part. You're not getting along with your therapist, you're just not feeling it, you can switch at any time, no extra charge.
Wow.
The thing is, they want you to get help. That's it. And you can do it with BetterHelp. Discover your relationship green flags with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/smalltownmurder today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show and tell you all sorts of good stuff about Chime. That's what I'm talking about. There's so many extra fees you have to pay in life. Everything. You go to the airline, there's an extra ticket on that. There's extra fee on every fees and fees, hotels, fees, all this type of stuff. We're trying to make progress, and the next thing you know, here comes another fee coming at you, and it's more money than you expected, and your whole math is thrown off, and it's awful. Learn more at chime.com/smalltownmurder. Chime is great with that stuff. I mean, you can't beat if your things are a little tight, especially around the holidays or after the holidays. Yeah. You need that money a couple days early, or you go grocery shopping. You got a car payment due. There's so many things that don't cross over exactly how you want them to cross over. Make progress toward a better financial future with Chime. Open your account in 2 minutes at chime.com/smalltownmurder. That's chime.com/smalltownmurder. Feels like progress. Banking services and debit cards provided by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A., members FDIC. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Boosts are available to eligible Chime members enrolled in Spot Me and are subject to monthly limits. Timing depends on submission of payment file. Fees apply at out-of-network ATMs.
And now back to the show.
Yes. Now... This goes to show you, too, how little, kind of death investigation that really goes on that's not standard. Oh, old lady died. Oh, this guy had a heart attack. That sort of shit in this area, because there's no expertise really here in this whole thing. So he says, the sheriff, well, I need to question the husband here. So I'm going to question him. He asks him where he was and all of this type of shit. And he says that Darlene Plucker was there. Like we said, Ronald and Darlene Plucker, they're friends, and she's a very good friend of Barbara. She said, the sheriff said, quote, Darlene was uncommunicative. She had glassy looking eyes. She was fidgeting. She was nervous. So it's at this point where Sheriff Albers says, I think we should have an autopsy. Yeah. It's at this point that he finally takes it all in now. Where, magical blood and stove handles and shit. Killer stove handles and magical blood.
Right.
So he gets, he ends up doing that. They take her in for an autopsy. Wouldn't you know it? Wow. They get her in there. They do an autopsy. Wouldn't you know she had a damn bullet in her head? Well, I'll be.
Yeah.
I thought it was the dang stove handle. I was ready to close the case and put her in the ground.
Did they ask the chief of police what caliber stove handle they got?
That's the thing. Yeah, well, they did actually. They said they wanted to run
on the stove.
They're running ballistics on that because they have that, and there's a bunch of other stove handles in the neighborhood they want to take a look at. They're going to bring everybody in for questioning and see who lines up with it, really, I think.
Check the rifling on your stove.
I think that's the only way to do it. I really do. You have to. I mean, you take them in there. You got to take it and beat it into the water.
But if the chief of police only has a 22 caliber stove and it's a 45 caliber wound, then we got a problem.
Well, it's a small wound if they couldn't even see it. So I'm going to have to go with maybe like a camper stove could have been involved, something like that, something very small that could have been maybe hidden in a car trunk.
Stove.
Yeah, a little Coleman, little one of those maybe. I'm not
Coleman
sure.
25 caliber.
A little propane tank you screw on, one of those bad boys. It's possible, I think. So we're going to check all the stoves in the neighborhood, though, and ask if any of the dishwashers or refrigerators have seen anything, really. They're going to be our only witnesses, obviously. There's a blender that we talked to that's he gossips a lot and he's not dependable. He does some drugs, drinks a lot of booze flowing through him, so he's not real dependable. But
bad gas travels fast in a small town.
We'll see. So he said the autopsy revealed a small entry wound, quote, like you would get if you took something with a sharp point and poked.
Oh,
so a small entry wound. They established a single bullet lodged in her brain, right between her eyes. Like it didn't get through the front of her skull to have an exit. It just lodged kind of right there. Okay. So clearly from the back, obviously. Number one, where the fuck was Edward? He's the husband. He's the chief of police. Right. Where are you, chief? Literally. He said he was at the dog races that night, betting on dogs. By the way, this is actually believable because he is a fucking degenerate gambler, this guy. Really? By the way. Oh, he's got not only that, he's also we'll find out. He's got some bookmaking going on. He's got some he's deep into gambling shit. He's an idiot. So he's betting on the dog races at the Sodrak Park. He said he stayed until the end of the 10th race, but he did place a bet on the 11th race and then left before it started, which who the fuck does that? Who bets on something?
Money on something and you walk away?
I guess, I don't know if it's like a lotto ticket, like you come in next time and just they run it through the scanner and see if you won last time or what, but I feel like there's a time limit on that kind of shit.
I think so, but also that's a no-luck shot. That's crazy.
That's really where he's I'm a shit better anyway. That's when you know you're a degenerate, when you know you're not going to win. Well, I bet on it, so it's not winning. I guess I'll go home now.
I was going to lose anyway.
Yeah, never mind here. He said that he left for the track about 7 p.m., He stopped along the way in Jefferson, South Dakota, to check on a dog racing track that on a race dog that he keeps there. So he's got a race dog there, and we'll find out that when they picked it up and everything too, because we get that. It was 11 o'clock when he left the racetrack. He said he got to tea about 12:10. He locked up the post office. Was it wide open before midnight? Uh-huh. They're not open till midnight, so. I guess, well, that lady died, so I guess he's the only guy with keys now.
He's locking it up?
They just hand it from chief of police to chief of police now since that one lady died. So he locked it up.
I did get a call last night, James, from the police here asking me if I left my garage door open at the rental that I used to live in that I no longer live in. I was like, what?
Did you leave it open? I don't fucking care.
They're like, we just got a call that your garage door is open. I'm like, I don't even live there. And they're like, all right, we'll lock it up for you. I'm like, wait, what?
Not for me. Don't care. Do whatever you want.
He's like, we do this a lot. Oh, really? You just run around shutting people's garage doors for them?
That's it. Wow. That's
all that training for this?
That's interesting. There's a lot going on in Phoenix, I feel like, that they could put their energy into other than that. But hey.
It's a bit out of the norm.
That's a little odd. I see like an HOA maybe, like some weird shit, some nosy lady that lives across the street or some old man who pierced
clearly
his blinds at you.
Somebody nosy as fuck.
Someone, no, I don't live there. Don't really care. Like I said, shit in there. Do whatever you want in there. Cook a batch of meth in there for all I care. I don't live there.
Do you have an enema that you could do in there?
Yeah, that's a thing that I've heard about from somebody.
A buddy I know said you guys do that.
A guy. Just say a guy. So he locks the post office. He stops at the Plucker home, the Plucker abode, to have a cup of coffee. I guess they're friends, and he's at midnight. He's stopping by for a cup of coffee. Now, Darlene Plucker is a good friend of Barbara's. She's a business partner of Barbara's and everything else. She says that she hadn't talked to Barbara that night at all, whatever. Now, Ed and Barbara's daughter, Heather, was at the house staying the night at the Pluckers because they have a daughter, too. So they were hanging out. She's staying over there. So he stops by, has a cup of coffee. His kid's sleeping there. She hasn't talked to Barbara. They keep going. So he had a couple of cups of coffee with Darlene and Ronald, and they talk about his race dog and the races tonight, and what he did and all that shit. Not much going on. Someone comes by with news of the racetrack, and you're like, "Oh, sit down and have some coffee." By all means,
it turns into midnight.
It turns into Goodfellas, like when they came with Billy Bats in the trunk to Joe Pesci's mother's house. It turns into that all of a sudden. Like, oh dinner. Man, give me news of things happening, please.
Let me set the table.
Fuck. So, but at this point in time, there's about 800 people in this town, so it's a very small town. So at about 1:10. He returns home, and that's when he found Barbara on the floor. Finds Barbara on the floor. Oh, my God, Barbara. Yeah. And he said he immediately called the Lincoln County Sheriff and also telephoned his brother and the Pluckers. That's why they're there before. I also love that the Pluckers and the brother and sister-in-law, roused in the middle of the night, mind you, have a better response time than the fucking sheriff. Is that that's not good, right?
That seems backward.
That seems bad to a dead person. Like,
right.
What else is going on? They must be checking garage doors all over that place because. Hold on. Wait, there's a dead body? You said, wait, I got a few garage doors open I need to check on, and then we'll go get to the dead body and see what happened there.
They better live directly across the street. Otherwise, they should be pulling up to, 11, 12 cop cars with lights going. With
a crime scene tape.
Yeah.
He's over there going, I think she hit her head on the stove handle. It took them hours to figure out that maybe we need an autopsy. This is just, everybody's going a little slow. Then, like, if this was the first 48, you'd be watching it going, for fuck's sake, Jesus. Like, I know more than this.
Right.
So this is infuriating. So anyway, he says he did that, and so they're looking into it. Now, Barbara, let's talk about Barbara for a minute and kind of who she is and how this all happened. Barbara is Barbara Croteau McDowell. Croteau is her maiden name, Crotteau. Croteau. She was born June 27th, 1946. Okay. So this is 11 days before her birthday. She's found dead on the floor. She's from Wisconsin. Yeah. She is the first child, oldest child. Her parents are Bob and Marie. She grew up in Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, which is a
lot of Wisconsin.
Wow, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin. That's a lot. It's a paper mill town, they say. So they had a big paper mill back in the time. Her dad was an insurance agent, and they were very, very Catholic. Yeah. She was brought up excessively Catholic, Catholic school, Catholic upbringing, very conservative. And she's not a rebellious girl either, Barbara. She goes along with it, and she's into it. She's a good old fashioned Midwestern girl back then. She's born in 46, so this is pre kind of. She's not like in high school during like hippie times or anything like that. It's like early 60s. She might have liked the Beatles and hid it from her parents and shit. So
they're cute.
They're so cute with that hair. So Lorraine Arnold, a friend of hers at Assumption High School, which is a pretty funny name for a high school. Yeah. I don't know. It sounds like a makeout spot. We're going to Assumption Point tonight.
Get up there and do some assuming.
No, I'm going to make an ass out of somebody, boy. I'll tell you what. And you high five your friends. So She says that she was a very conservative girl, and she didn't rebel at all. Barbara graduates from high school in 1964. She goes to the University of Wisconsin at Stevens Point. So she's in college from, 65, 66, 67. And the world's changing a lot here, but she never did. She was just always she is 1950s going forward here. Yeah. They said her roommate said that she was conservative. She's also kind of naive. She didn't like I don't know. She wasn't real socially, she wasn't a big social butterfly going out and partying and things like that. She didn't like the music that everybody else liked. She liked kind of old fashioned stuff while everybody else was listening to Bob Dylan and shit.
Yeah. What happened when we used to describe guys as dreamy? What is going on?
Yeah, this is
what's this groovy and out of sight? What are we doing?
Elvis is still gorgeous, isn't he? He's still so cute. I know he's put on a couple pounds lately, which is sort of weird, but I mean, he still got something. I don't know what it is. Just dreamy. He's very dreamy.
When a guy calls me his dream angel.
Oh, man, I'm still so sad about James Dean. He was just so dreamy.
Whole life ahead of him.
Whole life. Imagine what he'd look like now. So at some point here in the late 60s, or early 70s, I'm sorry, she meets, her car breaks down. Mm-hmm. She has to take her car to a mechanic. Yeah. And she takes it to the shop, and she meets a man there who is the mechanic. And he's going to fix her up real nice, if you know what I'm talking about.
Hell yeah, I've seen pornos that start like this.
This is the beginning of a porno, except a very conservative porno that would be very long because there'd be 8 dinners first and a bunch of other. There's a lot of courting involved in this porn. It's a slow burn.
Porno minus the oral.
It's a slow burn, and at the end you get a 4-minute missionary position one with the covers over everybody and all the lights off. So it's not quite. It's not real dirty, but if that sort of thing gets you going, you're going to love it.
Because it stays inside, and then there's a lot of apologizing.
It's really good. The next one in the series is 2 Hasidic Jews doing the same thing. It's really it's a very conservative group. It's a conservative pornography series that they put together. It's a very conservative.
A lot of back padding.
Yeah, it's very much just a lot of, sometimes there's a marriage involved. There's a wedding before it happens. It's very much, it's a lot. There's a series. It's like Twilight. There's 6 of them. And then in the last one, there's finally 4 minutes of missionary sex, and that's it. So, that no one enjoys.
It's called Dare you to get a boner watching this.
Yeah, it's a you really got to keep it going. You're I got to keep a half chub here through the whole thing. It's going to be difficult for me because they're just eating dinner. They're hanging out with their parents a lot. That's boring. I don't really want to see her father.
Is there any not hot porn like that?
Because
I kind of want to see that.
I think that's just called movies that are normal movies. I think just normal movies that are. Yeah. If you think it's boring and there's no fucking, it's the movie we're describing.
That movie's called $1 Million Baby. Not hot at all.
That movie's called some fucking The Piano. There you go, something like that. Or that boring shit from the 90s.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that's just boring. Anyway, I tried to think of the most boring movie possible. So he's a mechanic, takes care of her car, and he takes care of both rear ends, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He now Edward, he is born September 12th, 1948. So he's 2 years younger. He's born in Bells Hill, Scotland.
Oh.
So there you go.
A little accent?
Absolutely. He's also the oldest child. Mm-hmm. His father's a Scottish coal miner.
Oh, Jesus.
Something. That's awesome.
Yeah. That man's breath is flammable, James.
Imagine the yelling and the screaming at that. You son of a bitch! Just chasing people around. It's just Mike Myers and So I Married an Axe Murderer. He keeps an addictive chemical in his chicken that makes you crave it fortnightly. He's just you son of a bitch, and he's just beating the shit out of his kids, I feel like. I just picture, this is how ignorant we are, too. I just picture literally a live-action groundskeeper Willie. Just angry, in a constant state of rage. Yeah. Could be drunk, could just be some odd Scottish rage, I'm not sure, but...
Normal weight fat bastard, just more rageful.
More rageful, yeah. But he can, at the end of the day, though, if he's in a good mood, plays the bagpipe like an angel. Just knows how to do it. It's a weird thing.
Sits on the porch.
he just sings him. You're like, oh wow, that's beautiful. And then if you tell him that, he beats the shit out of you
with the bagpipes.
With just absolutely takes it by those whatever the hell those things are.
Those
and
horns,
beats you with the bag part that he keeps a brick in for situations just like this. You never know when someone's going to come at you when you're playing the pipes. And he's like...
That's why I put pool balls in it.
I broke him with the 7-ball I did.
I'll make dust out of
I said, cue ball, corner pocket, asshole, and I nailed him. So he's... Jesus Christ. So anyway, his mother is Mary McDowell, which sounds very Scottish. Mm-hmm. And they all... when he was a kid, he spent a lot of time with his father, who was a degenerate gambler also at racetracks. So that's how he grew up, at the racetrack with his dad, watching that. And his mother said, quote, "This is a regular thing in Scotland with the guys. That's just
gambling.
That's what they do. That's it." So at 16, he came over with his family to Chatham, New Jersey. So he moved to New Jersey, which is a very different place in Scotland. Yeah. And they came over here. He works as an auto mechanic, and which he probably had he's got an accent. He's exotic for a mechanic.
Hell yeah.
So he works as a mechanic for 6 years in New Jersey, and then he gets out of that, and he's a security guard from 70 to 72. And this is after he gets out of the relationship with, or he gets out of mechanics, right? Kind of after he meets Barbara when she brings her car in. Mm-hmm. So then he becomes a security guard, which gives him an interest in law enforcement. We'll say,
sure.
Like, I could do this and probably get paid more and get benefits if I, worked for the county or whatever. So his family returned to Scotland in 1969, but. He stayed behind, and because before he met Barbara, he had gotten married. So he's married over here, and apparently he would send his parents like tape recorded messages to Scotland that's about the most you could do technologically in the 70s. Long distance calls were very expensive. It was probably cheaper to do that,
and much cooler, much more personal.
Yeah, it's cool to hear somebody talk. I mean, you can't talk back, but I guess you could answer. So in his first marriage, he does have a son as well, and you don't hear anything about him for the rest of the time. So I don't know what the hell's up with him, if he kind of just lost touch with him or what. But him and his wife get divorced in 1972 there, and one of the grounds for divorce was that he was having an affair with another woman.
Oh.
And it's at this time, right after the divorce in 1972, when he marries Barbara Lee Croteau. So feel like that was probably the other woman. She was a librarian with the Veterans Administration. So she...
At the VA.
Yeah, she is extremely... I mean, she's a librarian. I mean, she's a super conservative woman. They met... when, like we said, when he worked at the garage. So he's known her for 3 years. So I don't know if this affair has been going on for this long, or I don't know what happened.
So, how conservative is she if she's sleeping with a married man?
I don't know. I mean, he might be that charming. Who the fuck knows? Or
he might be lying. She may not even know.
He might be lying. Yeah, he might be leading a double life. So they moved to Amarillo, Texas, where when Barbara gets transferred there. For with the VA, so he goes with her, and he works as a mechanic there because you can always get a job as a mechanic if you're a mechanic. If you have a skill like that, it's a good thing. So he works there for about a year. And then for about a year, he's employed as a technician at the hospital. And I guess he's like a maintenance guy at the hospital. So her mom, now Barbara's mom said she's very shy and reserved until she gets to know people. She did join a sorority in college, but she was still, she was social, but she just needed to get to know people first. She's not, like that. She's not super outgoing. So she's had the job with the VA since she got out of college. It was like 6 months out of college. And This is they were married on June 2nd, 1972. She worked at the patient library, her thing was reading to emotionally damaged Vietnam veterans that came back.
That's amazing.
She would have like group
she was treating PTSD before we knew what it was.
Yeah, by reading to them and I don't know, trying to make people comfortable, I guess.
Yeah.
And she did. Her parents said she would be really drained by this, though. This would. Emotionally. Her dad said, quote, she got too involved with her patients. Those boys were her own age and it got to her.
Sure.
So she got, which is understandable. So she switched to the medical library. She ended up getting a promotion. That's when they moved to Amarillo. They had a good relationship. They got along well, except they did not match up sexually well at all. That's the problem they had.
Because he's a Scotsman who drinks a lot and likes it fun.
He wants to.
Yeah.
Fun for him is,
It's different.
So what if I smack you a few times?
Right.
It's all in good fun. It's coming, don't you? Like, no, I don't know if it's like that or not, but he said, he told people that Barbara had a bad experience in college.
Oh, no.
Which we don't know what that consists of, but we can all use our imaginations. And at that, so she didn't like sex, even with her husband, because she was, she probably needed some help there. Yeah. And he said that he asked her to see a counselor, and she didn't want to see a counselor because she didn't want to talk about it with a stranger, which is, she's a very conservative person. It's the early 70s. This isn't now where you'd be like, what are you talking about? It's someone, they're trained for this. This is what you should do. But back then, any kind of counseling was considered kind of out there anyway. And then if you involve sex in it too, it's so dirty. And someone who's been brought up to not think that's okay. Which
I've got to talk about that with somebody that I don't know. Right. You know how hard it was to tell you you're my husband.
Exactly. I just had to tell you because you wouldn't stop humping me and trying to teabag me every night. So he said every time he brought up the subject to try to talk about it, he said that she would get very defensive about it. So it never really got resolved. Just didn't really happen much. In 1975, she and Eddie moved to Sioux Falls in South Dakota, and Barbara began to do well in the library services section of the VA here. One of her department managers here said, quote, Barbara was probably the best, most progressive medical librarian in the state. I don't know what that consists of.
Good for her.
Her Dewey Decimal is spotless. I mean, it's spotless, really. You can't even fuck with it.
She can find Catcher in the Rye with her eyes closed.
She knows exactly where it is. She can tell you what number it is.
Right.
Boom. Pow. Get the card, fucker. Get it. This is old
Fiction,
school.
Nonfiction, you can't fuck with her.
Can't mess with her. She knows it all. She knows it all. She knows what is what. She's got it all down. She was one of the founders of the South Dakota Health Sciences Library Association. And they said that one of her fellow librarians described her as a methodical, precise perfectionist. Okay. So there's that. Her career developed. Her friend said Barb definitely wanted the power. She wanted to run things in the association, but she was in the best position to do it. I respected her abilities and ideas. So she's a smart, professional woman who's got some issues, in her private life, and that, she's, whatever it goes. So she's a person. She's a complicated, normal person here. Right. So one of her ideas was to develop patient information facilities at medical libraries. And it wasn't a big thing at that time, and she did this, and apparently it helped everybody out a lot. One of her friends said she was the best supervisor ever. She's terrific. She even had cancer in 1979.
Oh, my God.
That's what is she, 32 or something at that point?
She's like the first one to get it.
Yeah, she has cancer, and she has to have a surgery, a successful surgery. But they said, her people at work and stuff said they barely noticed it. She didn't even make a big deal out of it. It wasn't. She was just took a day off to have the surgery, and then she was back and plowing right through it. No complaints. Didn't hear shit about it.
Meanwhile, today people have a spot removed from their forehead, and they change their Twitter bio to cancer survivor.
Yeah, it's true.
And this woman goes out for a surgery, comes right the fuck back. You wouldn't have a clue.
No, she didn't give a shit. She didn't care. She was just like, I got library shit to do. You know what I mean? I got to stack these books. My cancer is very unimportant at this point. So, yeah, I don't understand. I don't understand that at all. Yeah, it's a different kind of person, I think, also. Just, kind of a grin and bear it type of attitude rather than a, not grin and bear it, but grin and tell everybody in the world about it all the time in every possible digital setting that I could muster. So she's the chief medical librarian at one point here, Janine Ellefson. Now she's a woman who worked with Edward, obviously Barbara's husband, in 1975. And she thought it was really weird in 75, just to go back to Edward here. She worked with him and she answered the phone and she said that he got tons of calls from various women all the time, Edward, at the job. And so Ellefson asked him if he had a good marriage. And he told her that he was, he was married to his wife. It did help him get citizenship, plus her paycheck. He thought, that all that sort of thing, it helped. So he liked that about her, basically. Sure. He told her that he wasn't really into her, which sounds like a dude who's trying to fuck this girl. And he's like, we're together, but I'm not. I'm free to kind of, wet my beak here and there.
Yikes.
I'm free to teabag around as I please.
He just rattled off all the reasons that dudes are awful to women. She has good money. She got me my citizenship, and I fuck everybody else.
Yeah, maybe. He said that maybe down the line I'll get rid of her, though. Okay. That's what he told her. So she said, well, what do you mean by that? He said that rather than, I'll get a divorce or whatever, he said, well, maybe she'll have a hunting accident. Who knows?
Oh, my God.
That's what he said. So she was like, okay, that's an interesting thing. I'll mark that in my diary for later.
Yeah, write all those words in a row.
Yeah, he'll say later on that he meant it joking around, obviously. I was just kidding around. That's how we kid up here. But it didn't feel like a joke at that time from what she said. In 1975, Barbara and Edward have a daughter that's born. So they had to have some sex, clearly, at some point.
Yeah.
At least once. And that's their daughter, Heather. And he says that it was total accident, the whole thing. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Not like we were trying. I must have knocked her up. I don't know. I fell down and some jizz came out.
Where you put your penis inside a woman until things happen, and then accident.
You would think that, but to be honest, I feel we was just barbecuing, and then the next thing you know, I don't know how it happened. Maybe the heat from the grill or something, but I'm suspicious. I'm calling Weber. I'm going to see. I threw the instructions away. I don't know what the warnings are.
There was fire inside this box. I put meat on it. It came out. It was done. I'm calling Weber. There's a problem.
There's a problem here. I shouldn't knock my wife up, right? So he said, though, he told, he still wasn't satisfied sexually or anything like that. From 76 to 78, Edward sold life insurance for an insurance agency in Sioux Falls. So there must be a big insurance, it must be a big hub of insurance shit up there because there's still, remember I said in the beginning, all the insurance
there's a lot
jobs,
of those jobs there. There must be a headquarters for places are there.
Something. He didn't like it though. You're not going to have fun selling fucking insurance. That's not a fun job.
Insurance is not exciting. The stories of why you have to cut a check are probably exciting, but
that's interesting.
If you're in the appraisal business, not fun.
Not so great.
Yeah.
So in 1978, he gets hired as a police officer for the town of Hartford, South Dakota. Okay. So there you go. 1979, the couple, the McDowells, they moved to the town of T. Yeah. And at the time, he was still working for the Hartford PD, but after about a year and a half, he gets hired on as the chief of the T police.
Wow.
So Edward he's come up. He's the chief of the but there's, like I said, there's like 700-something people here at this point. Yeah. So it's not like it's, a giant, huge job, but still, it's a lot of responsibility.
That's an immigrant that came to this country and followed everything to this. This is pretty good.
Yeah, that's the thing. And Barb at this time, 1979, when they moved there, this is the time where she underwent her cancer treatment and all of that. So she moved and had a cancer treatment, and her husband switching jobs. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
She's pretty stoic. Hey, everybody, just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you about a healthy, delicious item, Hero Bread. And we're both trying to get healthier this new year. Jimmy had a eye-opening doctor's appointment and things like that. So we're trying to get healthier, and I'm telling you right now, this Hero Bread is a good step in this direction. It's delicious, and it is really good for you, and it's really excellent. They have the sliced bread is good, the bagels, the tortillas. I know you've been
they're terrific.
Ranting about the tortillas. They're so good. With Hero Bread, you can focus on your health goals and still indulge in the soft, fluffy experience you love, but guilt-free. I really love the little Hawaiian rolls, too.
Yeah.
They're so good. They're so good. The Hawaiian rolls, they're legit. They're fluffy. Yeah. They're exactly how you want them to be. You'd never know it's low-carb and high-fiber bread from the texture. You get the soft, fluffy experience you know and love with your savory breakfast sandwich, late-night grilled cheese, Taco Tuesday. Do it. No compromises, just flavor, ultra-low net carbs, 0 grams of sugar, high in fiber. It's fantastic. Hero Bread is offering 10% off your order. Go to hero.co and use the code SmallTownMurder at checkout. That's SmallTownMurder at HERO.co.
And now back to the show.
Hey, everybody. Just going to take a quick break from the show to tell you a little bit about Sono Bello. You know, the most known secret with celebrities and influencers and all these famous people is so many of them have had lipo. They've had lipo, whether it's a little touch-up here or a total makeover. Yeah. Nobody has a perfect body. That's the thing. No. They may look like it on TV, but there's things that help that. Absolutely. Lipo now has changed, and Sono Bello's been at the forefront with using LAL technology and getting those beautiful and natural outcomes for each person. Looking real natural. Our friends at Sono Bello are offering their best deal. You're now included in their winter savings event, but appointments are limited, so please get on this. Sono Bello doctors are masters in micro-laser fat removal, a brilliant technique that removes stubborn fat permanently. Wherever your problem areas are, tummy, love handles, thighs, arms, it's gone in one comfortable visit. Eating healthy and workouts are great. Keep doing that, but if you want to lose that stubborn fat in one visit, check out Sono Bello. Save big during their winter savings event. Schedule your free consultation now at sonobello.com/smalltownmurder. That's sonobello.com/smalltownmurder.
Now back to the show.
Though her younger sister said, quote, even in the hospital, Barb was always more concerned with how other people were getting along. That's how she is. So now he's hired in March of 81 as the police chief, and the same day, another person's hired in that office as the town's finance officer.
What's her name?
Darlene Plucker.
Oh.
That's our friend Darlene Plucker. So he also met a woman named Shelley Amato, who was the finance officer when he was a police officer there. And in 1981, this is before Plucker came in, he had a little thing going on with Amato. We don't know if it was a sexual thing, but at least a friendship. I feel like it had to be only a penis. Only love of a penis could make somebody do this, or love of a sexual organ of some kind, either gender or whatever you like. In 1981, he got her to forge his wife's name on a loan application. If women are doing that for you, not only are you fucking them, you're fucking them correctly at that point. If they're doing that for you, a bad fuck. No one's doing that for a bad lay. It's not happening. You are really laying down some business.
You're doing exactly what they like.
Yeah, if they're like, I'll forge your wife's name on an insurance document.
Right. They've been looking for whatever it is that you do. They've been looking for it for a very long time.
It has to be. It's the only explanation. Yeah. So, and he also had an affair with a Barbara Reinstroffer, who we'll talk about. She's the woman who gets the finance officer job after Darlene Plucker moves on to another position. So,
holy hell.
Whoever's in that chair, he's just like, well, I guess I'll be putting it in her mouth now. Like, I don't know what this guy, what kind of like magic thing does he have?
He's got a coxman.
It's the weirdest shit. These women just fall all over themselves for him, and we'll talk about they do things for him that you wouldn't expect.
It's certainly not the accent, because we know a guy who has the accent.
No,
he can't.
It's harsh.
Yeah.
The women run from him. They literally make a face. They wince and they go, "Oh God!" They'll walk up and he's like, "You're pretty," and they're like, "Oh, I like your tits." What? What'd you say to me? Like, a Scottish guy asking a woman out sounds like a threat.
It does.
You want to go out sometime? It's like,
Oh my God.
I don't think are we going to fight? Like, should I be afraid of this? What are you going to do to me if we do? Like, we've seen it in action.
It's abrasive.
It's they're and then there's like one or two women here or there that are like, they love it. You know, they're really turned on by it. But then the other ones are just like, whoa, what the fuck is wrong with him? It's hilarious.
The girls that would end up fucking him, he'd tell me stories. I was horrified by the things.
Oh yeah, they were
horrified.
Not just that, his relationships that he'd have with these women. Like, he'd be like, so I woke up tied to a tree in the park with no pants on. And I'm like, what? I don't know, man. It's what she likes to do. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is an actual story he told me. He woke up tied to a tree with no pants on. Like fucking Danny DeVito in Always Sunny when he's stuck in the playground thing. That's what happened there with this guy. The type of dude we're talking about. Great guy.
Fucking a girl, and she
stories.
handed him a dildo with dog teeth marks in it, and he goes, and I was like, what happened? He goes, I fucked her with it. I'm like, why? What are you talking about? Why didn't you leave? Why didn't you say ew?
That's not being tied to a tree with no pants on is not a deal breaker, Jimmy. What are you thinking?
Like,
that's
just dog teeth marks. It was still fine.
She's like, he's like, she didn't ask me to fuck myself with it. I mean, that's what she wanted. That's up to her. It's her business.
Like, what are you doing, man?
Likes a little abrasion. I don't know. So
she said it's like reverse studded.
You know how that goes. So, he says, Jesus Christ, where the hell are we now? How do you get back on track? We're both.
Yeah.
This is, it's fun. I don't care. So anyway, Edward, people like him. He's well regarded by the police officers. A patrolman that works with him said that, quote, he was a good policeman. And he even said Edward did, a group of area lawmen, quote, lawmen, who met monthly to discuss law enforcement techniques and new things they might have learned. So a little quorum to get together. That's nice. And McDowell even talked about running for sheriff of Lincoln County.
Himself.
That's Mr. Alber's job that we talked. That genius sheriff that came over and said, I don't know if a stove handle can kill a woman. Just jumped right out and got her. So he's generally thought to be a good policeman. The only thing about Edward is he's also flashy. He's got a big Ford Thunderbird that's flashy, one of those late 70s ones. My grandmother had one of those. It's about 6 miles long.
It is fascinating how those cars went from 2-seat midget cars, you know what I mean, to this enormous fucking boat, and then they started shrinking it back down, and then people wanted nothing to do with them, and they quit making it.
No. My grandmother had the Diamond Jubilee edition. It was like a 78. It was the biggest fucking car. When you closed the door, it sounded like a giant bank vault closing. It was like you heard there was like all sorts of things grabbing and hooking metal, and it was huge.
Yeah.
Very big car. And orange.
You got to make
also.
that car big to fit the word Thunderbird on it.
Yeah, Diamond Jubilee. It was just down the side. It was all the way.
It said Thunderbird Diamond Jubilee from taillight to taillight. It fit.
It all fit on there. This thing was enormous and bright orange. So there's that also. He had that, and also he was involved with a lot of different women and all this sort of thing, and he liked to gamble.
Yeah.
And all the other officers, whether it was admiringly or some derisively, they all called him Fast Eddie. That was his name. It's Fast Eddie, which we know from Crime and Sports is not a good nickname.
It's not a positive thing to be called.
No. So by 1983, a close friend of Barbara and also a coworker, she said Barbara appeared to be depressed much of the time, through the 82, 83, which, I mean, her husband's nickname is Fast Eddie, and she's a conservative, religious, veterans librarian. You could imagine why things might be bad.
She's married to Fast Eddie, and she doesn't even like sex.
No, she doesn't even like sex. And, maybe it's good that he's Fast Eddie anyway. If he was...
Slow Eddie's not good either.
If he'd taken his time Eddie, I don't think she would like as much, probably.
Really romancing Eddie.
She calls him, at least he gets it over with quick Eddie, which is a less, it's not as bad from her. So her friend said, quote, I just figured it was financial. She walked with her head down a lot. She was more withdrawn. She didn't say what was bothering her about Barbara. She said that she never spoke of any unhappiness in her marriage with her friends. She's very private about that sort of shit. She would never divulge that information to her friends. She thought that, her daughter and things like that were important to her, and that seemed to be okay. She would kind of got back into the church a little bit when her daughter kind of got into communion. But she kind of, since she married Eddie, she kind of drifted away from religion a little bit.
Right.
And then when her daughter, and then when her daughter did her communion, then she got involved in it, and she volunteered to help set up a library for the church, and she got all involved in shit like that. And nobody was ever allowed to say anything bad about Eddie as well. Her friend said, quote, she was very protective of him. She always seemed concerned about him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she is his she's the shepherd, and she's trying to bring him back to the flock always. Right. And that's her. I feel like that's her goal here. And I can fix him. And it's not working. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this mother plucker over here. Darlene Plucker, again, we'll talk about. She and Edward became close friends, and they became close friends after she started working for him. And mostly, from what she says, is because in August of 1980, she had to have a surgery and have her colon removed.
Oh, no.
Darlene Plucker, yeah. So she wore, a bag, yeah. So she had no colon, for Christ's sake. And basically, from what she told Edward, that basically her husband could not accept her as a woman after this and didn't want to have sex with her anymore. And they just became roommates, and he was disgusted by her and didn't want anything to do with her physically anymore.
Yikes.
So that's tough, man. Yeah, that's brutal. That sucks for her. So she ended up getting the job with the City of Tea, and she said that Edward was very emotionally supportive about this whole ordeal. Yeah. Very he confided to her as well that, well, that's very funny that you bring up the fact that your husband doesn't want to bang you. You know who doesn't want to bang me? My wife.
Right.
So we have a real common thing here.
About it. Yeah.
And it doesn't take long before they're plucking it up all over the place. August of 81, they began a sexual relationship that lasts a long time, and it keeps going on. It also, the sexual relationship spills over into a financial and business relationship as well, where Darlene Plucker would loan Edward money from her personal accounts also from the business account which she had with Barbara McDowell. Barbara McDowell. Yeah. So she's stealing money from Barbara to give to him to fuck off. It's a weird thing.
Yeah.
So she said this whole thing happened here. Her relationship started with him, and she said he was a good friend at a time in my life when I really needed a male friend, which I don't know what the difference would be other than you want somebody to be there for you and also, have some dick there as well, which I understand. So she said that it began in a Sioux Falls motel on August 4th, 1981. And within a few months, though, he was asking her for money. He said that someone was blackmailing him with pictures taken of the two of them at the motel when they were off banging, because he's the chief of police, so it's going to be a scandal. It's going to be a scandal. So she said the requests for money continued. Soon she was writing checks of her own account, and then she was forging loans in Barbara McDowell's name, and finally writing checks on the account of Elite Uniforms, which was a business jointly owned by Ronald, Darlene, and Barbara McDowell. Okay. So she was embezzling money from there. Now, by the spring of 83, he started just asking her for money to pay gambling debts at this point. He stopped with the stories about blackmail and all that shit. He's like, look, I fucking lost at the track, all right? The ponies didn't do what I wanted. Pony up, honey. He just went to that.
Yeah.
She said, quote, always one more bookie. No matter how bad I needed the money, he needed it worse. Wow. So that was that. She said that Edward had a, quote, hypnotic effect on her. Hypnotic.
It sounds like he has that on everybody.
He's like, he just sways his cock around in a circle and just hypnotizes these women. Quote, he'd always say the right thing to make me feel on top of the world, but in the same breath, he could make me feel that there was nothing worth living for. He could make me feel so low, and the only way to feel high again was to do what he said. He could have ran a cult, this fucking guy.
He better be hot as fuck, James. I'm going to be furious.
You'll be furious when you see him, put it that way. No, he's not. So this is exactly what the young ladies used to say about Charles Manson. Exactly what they used to say about him. Yeah. So it's pretty funny, like almost exact quotes. So she said that he didn't, and people didn't even have. While this is all going on, they don't. He's doing a good job at work. The mayor described him as, quote, an adequate chief, not outstanding, but adequate. Yeah. So he's fine. Yeah, he's fine. Also, they said that Darlene isn't like his wife Barbara either. She's a very outgoing person. She said the fire chief said that she sometimes asked other men to dance because her husband didn't like dancing. This was like a whisper. She's dancing with people. They're dancing. I mean, after that, what comes out? Talking? They're going to be talking next time, and then what? Anything could happen, right?
Having drinks and dinner, and then you know what's happening next.
They're moving around. Their genitals are all just lined up like that. It's just like sex. It's the same thing. Movement, genitals, everything. We don't play one-on-one basketball around these parts either because it's just too sexual.
Too many genitals.
It's too sexual. Too many genitals. And what are you going to do? Post up? Then what happens? That's genital on ass crack.
That's
right there,
pole
buddy.
to hole right there. That's what that is.
Ain't gonna work, pal. So throughout 82 and on through 83, Edward is spending more money than he's earning, and so he would get loans, like we said, and all this sort of shit. So at some point, he says, "Look, this is what we need to do. Obviously, we need to be together, me and you, Darlene. You know, I love you. You're the best. And then on top of that, you know, we need like a one-time cash infusion here to really just settle all the debts, and then we can start over with a new life, obviously, clean slate at that point." So he says, "Tell you what, let's kill Barbara, okay? Let's do that, me and you. What do you say?
Yeah.
Let's do it, me and you, and the stove. We'll involve the stove. No stove." So he said, "This is what we're going to do." He and Darlene, put this together, devised it themselves. They're going to exchange her medication. Okay? They're going to switch out her medication. She has a vested retirement account and a $100 life insurance policy from her employer. So he will get paid pretty well. And so what she does is she takes a prescription, Barbara. She takes Synthroid, which is used to treat an underactive thyroid.
Yeah.
And it's apparently she needs this or else she will be very ill and possibly die. Like her thyroid's that fucked up. So this is a very important thing. Their plan is to substitute her Synthroid for Brevicon, which is a birth control pill, which will not do shit for her thyroid and will probably make her die. That's
really?
That's what they're doing.
For. Yeah.
That's the outcome here. So Plucker gets a 3-month supply of Brevicon to switch it out to see if this will work and all this sort of shit. Now, she took this was to maintain her hormone balance, and I don't know if it would kill her to not have it, but she said that Brevicon tablets have an appearance like Synthroid tablets, and we don't know if it ever ended up happening or if that would have worked or what the fuck, but that never ended up going down. They went as far as getting the birth control pills, but never executed it.
Okay.
They're like, that's clean. Okay. This is the thing here. You're going to kill somebody, that's the cleanest way. I mean, we'll poison her, she'll slowly die, and she'll just drop dead. There's no blood, there's no spatter or anything like that. It's, oh, look, I'm very sad. My wife was sick. She had cancer a few years ago. You know how it goes. So all of that. But when that doesn't work, you go, you know what? Let's go other end of the spectrum. How about I beat her to fucking death with a hammer? What do you say about that? Which is... You can't get a more opposite way of murdering someone than from that to that. So
unless you try the Brevicon thing and it doesn't work and you're just frustrated, then
you're
the hammer
so
happens.
angry.
Yeah.
But he just went, no. A hammer's the way to go about it. It's different. He said he'll hit her over the head and make it look like a household accident.
Yeah.
That's what he'll do.
Hanging a picture, and the picture fought back.
He said that he told Darlene once back in the day, I hit Barbara in the head with a hammer while she slept, but not hard enough to kill her, apparently. He just whacked her in the head with a hammer and then was like, huh? And
What
she was
the
fine, I
fuck,
guess.
man? No.
And went on with their lives. She said that she later complained of severe headaches for about a week after that. She got fucking racked and her skull was probably fractured, for Christ. And I feel like I have like brain fluid leaking into my...
You drilled her with an east wing and then just stood there.
Stood over. What are we talking here? Framing?
Frame and hammer, ball peen, what is it? Tack hammer?
Did she see the waffle marks on her fucking... She should have known.
Was it one of the little pink ones? Because those aren't going to do any damage.
That's not going to do anything. Was it a ball peen? That's going to fuck you up.
Yeah.
So this didn't work here. And so that didn't work that time. So they said, let's do the hammer thing. Plucker purchased a hammer for him. You know, he can't be seen buying hammers over here.
Holy shit.
He said he was going to hit her on the head and make it look, because she got dizzy spells sometimes, and so because of her hormones. So he said he was going to hit her on the head, make it look like it was a dizzy spell, and have her tumble down the stairs. She gets to the top of the stairs, he whacks her, she falls. It's like the staircase case.
Right. Yeah.
So that's the plan here. We're going to rock a staircase type of action. And boom, she's going to go down the stairs, and they'll never know the difference between a hammer blow to the skull. With this fucking crack medical staff, they probably wouldn't.
You're right.
She had a gunshot wound. They're like, I think she might have slipped on the throw rug and hit her head on the stove.
She's got a gunshot wound. Did anybody check if there is antifreeze in the house?
Anyway,
she may have consumed it.
I feel like, that's very poisonous now. People don't realize that. Is there a carbon monoxide detector hooked up right now? Because from what I've heard, fucking idiots. So the second plan with the hammer here, she purchases the hammer. He's going to do that. And he said, look, we need a new hammer because I'd used the old hammer in the house. But, and this is, we never get killers that actually think about shit like this. So the chief of police should know investigative techniques and what to avoid. So he actually did. He said, if I hit her with the old hammer, they're going to be able to pick rust particles out of the wound and match that shit to my hammer. So not good. That ain't going to be a good thing. So let's not do that. So this is all starts to be a plan, but it never takes place. They never execute Operation Hammer Smash. Never goes on.
Too many plans that they haven't executed already. Right now, the two of them should go, this is complicated and awful. We should not do this.
This is really silly. That's the thing. So the pills don't work. The steel tea bag doesn't work either.
Right.
That fucking plan doesn't happen either. And so they go to a third plan.
All right.
Here's a third plan. You can't go to third time's a charm. It's enough, guys. It's enough fucking,
Right.
You got enough plans. If the first two don't work, that's it. Give it up already. They're very different. The third plan is kind of a meet in the middle between bashing her with a hammer and giving her medication. So this involves a gun this time. Now, this might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard. He said, we're going to murder her in the kitchen. And he says, tell you what, you, Darlene, meet me behind the house. And this is what we're going to do. He meets her behind the house. And he gives her what he calls the, quote, old city gun, which is the property of the city of T and is kept in a safe in the police station. It's just an old gun extra gun that they have that they keep locked up in there.
It's not like a term for like a rifle of some sort. It's just the old city gun.
Yeah. He said that this is the perfect thing to use because they'll never suspect it. It's right under their noses.
They'll never go check the ballistics of it because it's way back there.
Also, they wouldn't need a fucking warrant to because it belongs to them, you stupid fucking idiot. Yeah. That's the other thing. You have no access to it. Also, you can't get rid of it because then it's fucking missing and it's obvious. So you've really kind of backed yourself in a corner with this, trying to be overly clever, I feel like, you idiot. So groundskeeper Willie over here says he's going to do that. And he said, will you come to my house and shoot my wife? He says to Darlene. Come over and shoot her with this gun, would you? He said, I can't do it myself. If I do it myself, I'm obviously going to be the first suspect. I mean, I've been banging you. I've been banging this one. They call me Fast Eddie, for Christ's sake. I got a lot going on. Who's her husband? Fast Eddie? Well, let's look at him first, I feel like. he said, I'll tell you what, let's sweeten the deal a little bit. Let's do this. He said, as a, to show that I'm not such an asshole and I'm not a lazy guy, you kill my wife, and then in the future, if you want me to, I'll kill your husband. Crisscross.
Swap. Yeah,
that's it. Crisscross. That's all. What do you say? He goes, not now, but like on layaway. Like if you want to down the line. If not, no worries. But in like 87, if you're like, you know what? Fuck Ronald. I'll go over and I'll off him. No problem.
You got yourself a Fast Eddie gift card, my dear.
That's it. Yeah, that's all it is. It's good for any amount of time, really, as long as I'm physically able to do it. So, in May and June, he keeps explaining to Darlene that killing his wife has advantages. If they do it with the gun, it's got a lot of advantages. This is the way we can do it. I'm telling you, it's going to work. They're talking about it for a month. Finally, they finalized June 15th, 1983. We're doing this shit. We're doing it. He's super in debt, being hounded by creditors. His ex-wife is on him for child support.
Oh, boy.
He's got bookies looking for him. He's got a lot of financial pressure. He's written several bad checks recently as well. So he's got a lot floating around. He really needs a cash infusion here. All sorts of gambling activities. Just a fucking disaster. Darlene had quit her job as the city finance officer and decided to run for the city council.
Oh,
so
my.
that's Darlene's plan. She's going to be a politician right after she shoots the chief of police's wife.
Right.
No problem.
She's got to be shit in her bag right now.
She is really, that's when she's scared, boy. You know it.
You can hear it.
You can tell. So he decides that he, at one point, earlier to this, he's going to be a bookie himself. Him and his uncle are going to be bookies, the chief of police.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. He needed capital, and he said, this $100,000, I can get out of debt. Not only that, I can get on my feet with a bookmaking operation, because that's just the perfect job for a degenerate gambler.
Right.
It's like if you're a huge cokehead, you should probably sell coke, because that'll work out great. You'll make a lot of money.
He could use a good call in to Dave Ramsey to discuss this.
Yeah, I feel like he needs a lot of help, Jimmy. This is outside of radio talk show expertise here. He needs a team, this man. He needs like a whole thing going on, a whole company that's thinking about nothing but how to figure his bullshit out.
At minimum, he needs a Dave Ramsey book.
Yeah, he needs like Tom Hagen from The Godfather that just like handles all his affairs. I only handle one client. So he decides that. So June 15th, 83, about 2 p.m., Edward picks Plucker up, and, he says that, listen, you got to kill my wife today. Seriously. I know we talked about it. Like, this is, let's get it together. He says, if you don't, I got two choices. I either got to leave and go somewhere else, I got to run away, or I got to kill myself. Those are my only options. So either way, I'm not going to be around you anymore. So, if you want me to be here, you got to kill my wife. Otherwise, I'm going to sing Freebird and ride off into the sunset. That's
You're never
all
going
there
to
is
see
to
me
it.
again. I got two options, and neither of them you see me. No.
Both of them are bad for you, sweetheart. I'm
the
thinking
third
of you
one
here.
is kill somebody.
And then we'll be together. And then, later, after I kill your husband in a few years.
Right.
But eventually, it'll all work out. So she says she tried to talk him out of it, but she couldn't, because he was so desperate. And she said she got in an emotional state, and he was so persuasive. She couldn't help it. She said he loaded the city gun and showed her how to shoot it, showed her how to fire. She didn't know how to fire a fucking gun. She never fired one before. And told her,
shot one is going to be into somebody's head?
yes. Yeah, showed her how to fire. You pull it back. Pulled like a Don Clemenza with Al Pacino in the basement, where she's like, hey, this one to be Prince, and teaching her how to murder. Showed her how to shoot it. Showed her where to shoot her. This is what you want to do. Really gave her the whole little tutorial, as you do.
Bang, bang,
Here, yeah. He said, look, I'll have an alibi. That's important for me. I'll have an alibi, which is I'm going to go to the dog track so everybody sees me. I have racing slips, says what time the races were. Best alibi ever. He said that after this, Darlene says, he told her, when you're done, hide the gun, take a shower, and wash your clothes so you get all the gunpowder residue off of it. Again, police officer knows this shit. So about 10 p.m., this is fucking amazing, and one of the few times this has ever happened. About 10 p.m., Darlene goes over to the McDowell house, How does she get there? She rides her bicycle.
Carrying a city gun. How wicked witch of the West.
He had loaded the gun for her and hid it in a cowboy boot. So she rode over there on a bicycle holding a cowboy boot with a gun in it, which that's not suspicious or anything.
Yeah.
What you got in the boot, ma'am? I mean, that's just amazing. And rides over there with playing in the background. So Darlene asked Barbara if she would make some coffee. Hey, would you make some coffee? Yeah. And we'll put it in Darlene's words. We'll let her tell the story of how it went from there. She arrived there, she walked in, greeted Barbara, and that's how it worked. She said, quote, I said something like, let's have a chat, or how about a cup of coffee? Something to get her over to the sink. She walked over to the sink, and that put her back to the stairs, just like it was supposed to happen. We'll talk about it. He talked about maybe from the stairs, maybe here'd be a good angle. That way you can anchor the gun so you doesn't shake because you're going to be shaky, so you can lean it on the banister and shoot her. This is like the plan that they got going on. So she says, quote, I walked straight past the table into the living room. I took the gun out of my boot. She was looking down into the sink. That's when I must have walked up behind her and put the next thing, the gun was up to her head, very close. There was a huge noise. My ears were ringing. She went limp. There was a thump. I took one leap over her and went out the door. So she just went up and shot her in the back of the fucking head. She said she quickly pedaled home, which your escape thing is a bike, which is... We've had a guy try to escape on a tractor one time, which was ridiculous, but a bicycle is really, we've had kids on a dirt bike, I want to say. We've had a lot of shit, but a grown woman riding her bike home with her cowboy boot and her gun after murdering another grown woman is really just disturbing.
Cowboy boot holster.
Jesus Christ, cowboy boot holster.
That makes it real cumbersome to carry a weapon if you got to drag it around in a boot.
That's what I mean. It's a lie. You should have just put it in like a basket. Doesn't she have a basket on that thing? Put it in a little, like a grocery bag, something.
Put it where Toto
basket.
went.
A picnic basket. Yeah. That would have been nice. You
That's
know,
what Toto was in, wasn't it? Picnic basket with a lock on it? Yeah.
Well, I feel like the picnic basket's nice because you could take the gun and you can take a sandwich for later, too, in case you need it. Like, you know, any kind of supplies you want.
Nice baguette and some cheese.
You never know. Bottle of wine you could fit in there. Who knows? So she pedals home and she hides the gun, Darlene does, under the front seat of her car, which is a terrible hiding place for a gun.
Yeah.
She said that at that point, Edward telephoned her from a truck stop near the T exit on Interstate 29. It's about 11:45 p.m. And Mrs. Plucker here, Darlene, says that Edward told her to wash her hands with gasoline to get that way that when they do the test to see if you fired one, it won't come up. Okay. Gasoline, take a bath, and make sure you wash your hair because you'll get, residue will go in your hair. So,
a very long bath. Have you ever gotten gas on you? That takes for fucking ever to get that smell to go away.
Here's another thing. What the fuck is Ronald doing? Her husband. I'm going to go ride my bike, and then when she gets home, I'm going to take an hour-long shower. Where do we keep the gas can? What the fuck kind of thing is that when you come home? Yeah, no, I need to wash my hair with gasoline right now. What? Why? Are you okay, honey? No, I need to do it. Okay, where do we put it? Okay, sure.
The bicycle makes me sweat.
The only thing that makes me feel clean is gasoline. I don't know what it is. So I need to feel flammable to be clean. So
I need that nice static feeling when I get it on.
You know how it is. Yeah, don't light a cigarette around me. She said Edward arrived around her house shortly after midnight and put the murder weapon in his own car. He took it at that point. And so she said she showered, put on a robe, washed her clothes like he had told her to begin with. And she said she couldn't settle down. She said she moved the gun from her garage to her car and, quote, may have moved it several times after that as well. She was just like running around the house, moving it to different places. Like, just in a panic. Oh, my God, didn't know where to put it. When he finally got there, it was back in her car again, which it had been in her car and out of her car and then back in her car again. She thought about it and moved it and then decided, no, that's the best place.
Yeah.
Get
she
a
found
spoon.
a scenario in her head where somebody will stumble upon that weapon where it is. So then she moved to somewhere else. Then found another scenario. Not there.
And then just back to the front seat of the car. You're better off taking a spoon, going into the yard and digging a tiny hole and putting dirt over it. That's That's better than your front seat of your car.
Put it in a knot in an oak.
Yeah, there you go. Just stick it in there. So according to Darlene, this all was going on. He gets over there. They have coffee, remember we said?
Yep.
They're talking and the racetrack and the dogs and all this shit. This is... Ronald's like, oh, everything's fine. Just guy having coffee here at midnight talking about normal stuff. Well, my wife reeks of gasoline. Nothing abnormal here. Nothing to see here. Shortly after this, he's there. He leaves at about 1 o'clock. He goes over there. Boom. Finds Barbara on the floor. The sheriff comes over going, this might have been a forensic pathologist saying, looks like an accident. Should we bury her? Oh, my God. So, this is how this went down, like we said earlier, when he found her. So she's dead. This is all going on. There's an affair. There's all this shit going on. The town is just a titter with scandal. It's just, and they don't know who did it, but he's not even really a suspect, Edward. He was at the dog track the whole time. So
everybody just feels bad for him.
Yeah, it's at this point, but there's an article here from the Argus something from South Dakota, Argus Leader in South Dakota here. And this article says, quote, murder is a foreign word to the residents of this town of 800. No one can even remember the last killing. Even the sheriff is not sure there ever has been one. That's a bad sheriff. You should know your murders.
He's not
so. Yeah, they said it's big time. The sheriff, this is Mayor Woody Schroeder. He says, quote, there are a number of Quincy's in this town who have it all figured out. Quincy is an old show, like a 70s show about a detective, I guess. I thought Quincy was a doctor.
Yeah, medicine woman.
That's Quinn, Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
That's right.
Quincy was an old man. It's before my time. I don't know if it's a doctor or a detective. Based on this guy.
Yeah, he didn't even have Barnaby Jones locked and loaded? Nothing?
A Columbo, a Kojak.
Yeah.
There's a lot of 70s TV shows. I'll even accept T.J. Hooker. He had a uniform on. It's something. He might have been able to find a clue. I don't know. So he says...
At this point, Quincy Jones has eclipsed the fame of that show, sir.
Definitely. Oh, he's an investigative coroner, that guy, apparently, Quincy.
Okay.
He says, my comment to the speculators is let the professionals do their job and we'll all know what happened. He has a lot of confidence in old Sheriff Ken Albers. So Ken all he has is the bullet and a bunch of shit like that. That's all he really has for evidence here. They send him to Pierre to get it all checked out. They ask him, do you have a suspect? And the sheriff says, quote, I can't say an arrest is imminent. No idea what's going on here. It's just could be anything. That's all it is. He says, if you looked at it, you could very well believe she had died of a fall. But then I realized that she didn't. So he's trying to give himself credit for this in the paper.
Right.
I said it's probably couldn't have just blood can't gush out of nothing, can it? So people said that the McDowells were private people. They said that quote, this is Mayor Woody Schroeder. They stayed pretty much to themselves, especially Barb. It seems like everything that should have happened. Seems like this is something that should have happened somewhere else, not in my town. He says everyone is kind of shocked that it happened, and we haven't been talking about who. We haven't even been talking about who, is what a woman says. There's never been a murder in T. There's never been a murder. So everyone's just blown away by it. That's all there is to it. They said that people in the surrounding towns that they know call them to try to get information. It's the gossip of South Dakota. What the hell's going on here? So June 17th, they talk to Edward. They do an interview with Edward. And this is all recorded and everything. And he says, quote, I just still can't believe that somebody would do that to her. That's what he said in the interview. He says, it's terrible. They said, look, do you have a girlfriend? Would you like maybe someone who would like to see your wife dead or out of the way? And he said, no way. Of course not. You kidding me? I'm an upstanding chief of police. He said, I was over there hanging out with Darlene and Ron, and I came home, and that was that. And they said, well, what about Darlene? What was she wearing? And he said that she had her robe and pajamas on like you would at midnight. And he said, quote, I don't see how she could have done it. He said that they're genuine friends, Barbara and Darlene. Couldn't have been her, because they were asking about everybody that was in the house when they got there. He said that he retraced all his steps. He said that he came home late the night before, or that evening, because he said the behavior of the family's Yorkshire Terrier was strange, and that's why he went looking for Barbara, because the dog was acting weird. And that's when he found her on the floor. He said, quote, I just looked at her. She was white as a ghost. There was no chest movement. So he said he called the sheriff. He said, quote, I just don't know what to say. He said that also he made sure to tell them that he was taking a medication 3 times a day, including today. He was taking phenobarbital, which is a anti-seizure medication. And it's also, back in the day, they used to think it was like a truth serum. Like you'd tell that because it relaxes you. MK Ultra, they experimented with it a little bit to see if they could do it, figure it out. And so he said, I'm even on phenobarbital, so I'm telling the truth. Literally. I can't lie.
It's impossible.
This is fucking ridiculous.
Can't have a seizure.
Can't do either one of them. Shit, but I got a colon. Darlene Plucker said they said that she broke down when she was told about Mrs. McDowell being shot. And she said, quote, I have tried to think of who would want to do this. I just don't know. She was such a nice person. I just don't know. Can't figure it out.
She's sticking with it. This is great. I mean, if you're going to pick a girl that'll do that for you, at least she's sticking to the story.
Down as fuck.
Yeah.
He said, they said, were you having an affair? Did you do it? And she said, good God, no, not my friend Barbara. Absolutely not. No. But Sheriff Albers tells her, look, I know you did it. This is on the 17th. I know you did it, and you need to confess now and make it easier for yourself and your family. He's acting like a mob boss with her. She became agitated at times, and she would curse at him and shout her answers sometime and all this type of shit. At one point, Albers said, quote, you made a big mistake when you shot Barbara. Don't make another one now. Why did you do it? It's the only thing that can save you. Say it. You have to start. He's like badgering her once because he knows if she did it, Edward's involved, and that's what he's trying to get to. Right. So she says, I don't have access to any guns, and I didn't leave my house that night. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Don't have guns. I was in a bathrobe. Didn't leave my house. So he then the sheriff asked if Edward was involved, and he said, quote, don't force me to wreck what's left of your life. You owe that to yourself and your family. Whoa, don't make me ruin you. And so another time, now that she never gives it up, okay? So they let her go from the interview. Mm-hmm. July 20th, a month goes by. She's back getting interviewed again, and he says that she sought him out for the interview. She asked, can I talk to you? And he secretly recorded it, which you can't do that. Anyway, I guess you not if you're an agent. You can. It's a weird thing. I guess you can secretly record her, but it's just I don't know how. I don't think that's admissible and certain. I don't know if he had a warrant or there's a lot of gray area there.
I don't know. They do
to
that
a secret
shit
recording
all the time.
But they have like wiretap warrants to do that shit. That's the thing. So but I guess if you're in person, I don't know. So during the interview here, she then says that she was blackmailed. And that's why she took money from the business, because they found out that she took money from their business. And now they're like, we know you did it because you took money and you were trying to cover it up. And she said, look, yeah, I took money from the business, but I didn't kill her. And actually, Sheriff, I could really use your help to try to catch this vicious blackmailer that's after me. Okay, that's a thing. She said that about a year and a half earlier, she got drunk at a Pierre convention that she went to and had sex with some guy that she met at the gathering. Okay. She said then in December 1981, she got a phone call demanding $1,000 and then another call later demanding another $300 in blackmail money. Mm-hmm. She said she paid the money. And she told the sheriff that the call started again in March 83 and continued through April and May. She said that the blackmailer now wanted $5,000 and she didn't have that kind of money. So she turned to her business account, which was Elite Uniforms. And that's what the money was for. It wasn't to help Edward get out of gambling debt. Right. It was to help her for her fuck blackmail, So she said she wrote checks to Edward, the only way he was involved is because she wrote checks to him and had him cash them and then give her the money back so she could pay off her blackmailers. And, she made up an excuse for getting the money later on to the business partners. That's how it worked. So this is fucking amazing. July 23rd now, Albers talks to Edward McDowell, also his brother James, and their uncle Michael McDowell on the 23rd. And, they said they produce a note written by Darlene. Now, this is fucked up. She's down as fuck for him, and he's like, I have a note from her. In the note said basically that Darlene knew her husband was going to leave her at some point, and in the note it said that she thought if Barbara was out of the way, then Eddie would be mine. So I think she might have killed my wife, he's saying. This is crazy. Oh, man, I trusted her. Oh, how dare she? The note said she hoped she'd be forgiven for what she'd done, and a sample of her handwriting was looked at, and they said it looked pretty similar, so they were definitely interested in her. The sheriff said then he returned back to T, went to Darlene's home, and arrested her. And he said her eyes were glassy and her speech was slurred, but there was no odor of alcohol when he took her. So he took her to the hospital rather than jail. Now,
and this unraveled because of bad checks.
Because of bad checks. Yeah, anything you do like that with a paper trail. You don't murder with a paper trail. That's a bad idea. It's bad enough you're lucky to not get caught anyway. So the bullet found in Barbara's brain matched the ballistics from a .38 caliber revolver taken from the safe in the T-City Police Department. Yeah. You fucking idiot. Fucking moron, man. So indictment comes down. He's indicted on 21 counts of conspiracy to commit murder, aiding in forgery, and attempted grand theft in connection with his wife's death. So all this shit. Problem is, Darlene is going to have something to say about this whole thing here. So this is, they end up in the indictment. They find out that Barbara McDowell's name, there was loans taken out on her name using her life insurance policy in connection with loans while they plotted her murder. They traveled to Sioux Falls 3 times in 82 and 83 to apply for loans at 2 finance companies and forged Barbara's signature the whole time. Darlene Plucker posed as Barbara in each of the case and forged her signature. She just said, "Yeah, I'm Barbara." They didn't ask for ID or anything. She just signed
why
it.
Would you? If a woman shows up with a guy and he's got ID, you just go, "Oh yeah, that's his wife right there."
Yeah, back then in Sioux Falls too, or who knows. So before each loan application, Plucker practiced forging Barbara's signature, according to this whole thing going on here. And they also accuse Edward of supplying Plucker with his wife's salary, pension benefit, and credit information so she could run other shit on this whole deal. Using her life insurance policy, they received joint credit life insurance. Joint credit life insurance means that an insurance company would assume payments on loans if Barbara died. You take out a bunch of loans on Barbara, then make sure that she's insured against those loans in case she dies, and then you kill her, and all those loans you took out are forgiven, and you get her life insurance money. Mm-hmm. And she looks like a debtor who died. That's all it is. That's how it works. So, they say that they drove there back and forth. They have evidence of that. They also, Edward they say he sent his 8-year-old daughter, Heather, to stay overnight at the Pluckers on the night of the murder. Drove to the racetrack and did all of that shit. So anyway, and also that night, Plucker had put her children in bed by 9:30, which she's normally the kids stay up a lot later than that. So she put them to bed. It's got to go to bed early tonight, kids. That was also part of the whole thing. So September 26, 1983, Plucker makes a full confession and agrees to a plea. Hey, he burned her and she burned him back. That's how it works here. So basically the cases are, it was over $100,000 in all this insurance and all these scams. The prosecutor says that Edward was, quote, a heavy gambler, deeply in debt because of his penchant to bet on dogs and other sports. And they say that if it goes to trial, you're probably going to learn a lot more about bookmaking than you'll ever want to know. That's wow. He said that he had a continuing need for money. Generally, his betting went pretty good, but then also it would go bad. Jurors would also hear a lot about a bank account that held money generated by a gambling operation because they had a separate bank account for their bookmaking thing that was going on, too, on the side.
Yeah.
let's see, calls placed to betting services, his wife's life insurance benefits, $50,000 of which are waiting in a bank account for McDowell pending the outcome of the case, if he gets done or not. McDowell's overdrawn checking account and about $28,900 of cash at McDowell's disposal during the 6 months preceding his wife's death. So that's how that all works here. They argue a lot about the amount that was available to him and all this type of bullshit, but it doesn't matter. They also say he gets out on bail, by the way.
Yep.
It's 10% of a $50,000 bond. He's out on $5,000 for fucking killing his wife.
Unbelievable.
Well, he's the chief of police.
Yeah.
Jimmy. I mean, he can be trusted out there. Lucky he wasn't ROR, for Christ's sake. Mm-hmm. So they said that if his lawyers, like, this is bullshit. If Edward were the murder mastermind that they're portraying him as, he wouldn't have taken out insured loans in his wife's name just months before the death. He wouldn't have been gambling and creating debts. He wouldn't have allowed the gun retrieved from the safe of the police department to be found. He would have hid it, obviously. He wouldn't have taken that gun to begin with. He would have got another gun. He said that, it's all about Darlene. That's it. He said he's not a master criminal. It's all her. She's sent to a hospital at first here. She's remained under guard at the McKinnon Hospital here. Quote, in our view, there's a definite and substantial indication that she's a danger to herself and possibly others. So her lawyer says, I don't think she's a danger to others, but I'll give you she's a danger to herself. Let's keep her in the hospital there. She ends up pleading guilty.
She's the bad guy. They're holding her and they're letting this guy out. Granted, she did pull
on
the trigger.
bail. Yeah. So, and also he's the chief of police.
Yeah.
So she ends up doing a plea agreement here.
Sure.
And she pleads guilty to conspiracy to commit second-degree murder. And she is given, you, ma'am, may fuck off 50 years.
What? That's steep for second.
Not really when you hear when she gets out. So this is a very loose 50 years. We'll put it that way. It's 50, give or take 45 or so. It's a lot.
What?
Wait till you hear it. So we'll get to it. By the way, this is the greatest. I love this so much. I got to show you this headline and turn the monitor.
Let's have a look. See.
Tearful plucker tells how she shot Barbara McDowell. I don't know why.
Tearful plucker.
She's a tearful ass plucker, man. So. She also has to testify against Edward as part of the agreement here. She said that she had to because he threatened to kill himself if she didn't comply. She said, quote, he used that on me a lot. He wasn't just going to leave. He was going to end it all. She said even hearing his voice on tape, everything, she heard the tapes and she said, quote, they relaxed me to the point where I just might forget everything. She's telling this to the fucking cops, while she's giving her story, I don't know, he's just
as long as I hear his voice, everything's okay.
Everything's okay. Hold on a minute. I'm too wet to talk right now. I gotta. So April 84 is the trial for him, and she's going to testify against him. This trial takes case, like we said, this is the extreme southeastern part of the state. It takes place in Pennington County, which is the extreme western part of the state.
Oh.
To try to get away from the publicity of it.
It's
problem
juicy.
Is,
it's grimy.
It's a soap opera, and the problem is that everybody still fucking has heard about it. It's even that far away they've heard about it. They said that a couple of court ruling stuff, 72 pages of a transcript of an interview with Edward McDowell is not going to be admissible as evidence. Oh. And it was part of the July 23rd interview, the one where his brother was there and all that kind of shit. And this was the one where James McDowell had called the sheriff and asked to talk to him about what they could do to help Edward McDowell. So the sheriff went to James McDowell's home, and about halfway through the interview, Edward showed up. And basically they said that everything that happened before Edward's arrival can't be part of the trial. So not a big deal. They also ruled that some of the telephone records of their bookmaking operation are inadmissible as well. The records after July 14th can't be admitted as evidence. So it's interesting. They have a couple of the prosecutor's an astrophysicist or some shit, by the way, which is very weird. Never mind. They made a big deal because he's going to school for physics. Basically, he wants to be a physicist, but he's not at this time. He's an attorney. So, yeah, anyway. They said that since this has happened, this has been the only thing anyone's ever talked about. It's kind of turned their life upside down, both these attorneys said. Like, it's kind of been like, it's all anyone will bring up to him. How's your kids? It's, so what's going on with that chief of police? And did he shoot his wife or what? So
fuck your kids. This is fascinating.
Fuck your kids.
Yeah.
So with the jury, prior to the trial, the state notifies everyone that it will be seeking the death penalty if he's convicted.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. And the trial court, therefore, permits the state to inquire whether prospective jurors could follow the trial court's instructions relating to, could you impose the death penalty, basically. Yeah. That's part of it. And
death penalty case, he's out on $5,000.
$5,000 for death penalty. That's a lot of motivation to run, no? Yeah. Lucky he's in so much debt.
Yeah.
He's going to hit it big at the dog track and take off.
Fix it all.
If number 8 wins, it's freedom. If not, to the slammer. Death penalty. It's a very important race.
Run like my freedom depends on it.
Yeah. The jury selection takes 13 days. They question 108 jurors. The trial's moved, like we said, and the jury, the defense lawyer said that the jury polling in Lincoln County, where they're from, showed that, quote, 100% of the people had heard of the case and had an opinion. Yeah. So there was no way to do that. They said that 1 or 2 of the prospective Pennington County jurors were also disqualified because of pretrial publicity. 10 to 12 were disqualified because they opposed the death penalty, and one was disqualified. One was disqualified because he, quote, overwhelmingly favored the death penalty. He was a little too. They were like, "You're liking it a little too much, sir. Let's fry them all. I don't care. What, you got parking ticket? Fucking I'll stick a goddamn needle in his arm so fucking quick it ain't even funny." The hell did you do?
Let me ask you something, Your Honor. Do we just get to say that he dies that way, or do we get to do it? Because
we get to do it because I'll take part in this bitch. I'll tell you what.
Is there an opening? Do y'all need some help?
You've been stealing? Well, that's a death penalty, son. Sorry. I mean, that's just how we do it around here in South Dakota. So they had to delay a little bit because some of the jurors were sick. The defense strategy is to depict him as a simple, shy man, a simple, shy immigrant who worked his way up. He's a good police officer, a devoted father, and a caring husband as well.
And that's all well and good if he doesn't show his dick to every woman he knows.
Yeah. So, yes, he's been sloppy with his finances, sure.
Okay.
I'll give you that. Yeah. But he may have lived beyond his means, but who among us hasn't at some time or another? They said, but so have a lot of other people. This is what they said. So He said, yeah, he periodically placed bets in hope of hitting it big, but he didn't have any large gambling debts. This is crazy. He's such a nice guy. Right. Prosecution portrays him as a conniving womanizer and a man in desperate financial straits because of heavy gambling, so desperate that he plotted his wife's murder to collect $100,000 of insured fucking money and loans and all this shit. So they bring in witnesses. One of the witnesses, this is bad. You got to watch where you put your dick, everybody. One of the witnesses is Barbara Reistroffer, who was another woman he had an affair with. She's the woman who followed Darlene in her city finance job. Yeah. And she said she had an affair with Edward McDowell when she traveled with him to pick up a racing dog. And they said that they were on a trip to Abilene, Kansas to pick up a greyhound, and they left on April 21st, 1983. So this is a couple months before that. And this was a short time after Plucker had resigned. She said she also helped arrange a meeting between McDowell and Plucker after Plucker was bailed out of jail. They weren't supposed to be seeing each other, but she was the middleman in this. So he went to her to arrange a meeting. She said they met on September 6th, 1983 at her mobile home. So her trailer in Sioux Falls here.
That's where they fuck.
That's where they fuck. The meeting was set up after Darlene asked to visit Reistroffer and mentioned that she wanted to see McDowell, but she couldn't do that because of a promise she made with her family. So Plucker visited Reistroffer at the finance office soon after she was released, and then asked Reistroffer to call McDowell for her. She said, this is Reistroffer, quote, she only said one thing, and that was, I think they offered him deals like they did me. That's all she said about the conversation. And she also said she wasn't present when they met later in the home, and she didn't think she'd done anything wrong in arranging the meeting, saying she did so as a friend to each of them. And she said that later on Darlene called her, and she said that Darlene was upset because Darlene had heard that Reistroffer had given incriminating evidence against her. So there's that. Now, Linda McDowell, who is Barbara's sister, that's his brother's, so that's his sister-in-law, not Barbara's sister. She said that it appeared in the days following the death, that Darlene's affection for Edward wasn't mutual. She said, quote, "It was as though she always wanted to see him, but he didn't appear reciprocated." That's a funny way of saying that. Yeah. She didn't appear reciprocated. Now, she did describe him, though, Edward, as an emotional wreck after his wife's death, who was deeply upset by the loss of his wife, and said, quote, "like you'd expect anybody to behave after a shock like that."
Yeah.
He complained of stomach and chest pains and lack of sleep and poor appetite, and he even had to be hospitalized for several days during the grand jury investigation. He was just so overwhelmed.
Oh, so much grief.
Guess who gets called to the stand?
Who's that?
It's Darlene Plucker.
Yeah. She is
gonna mother pluck him right now in the middle of this fucking courtroom.
In front of everybody.
So they hear the tape recording of her September 26th confession. She described on the tape how she bicycled over there, had the cowboy boot gun and the whole deal going on.
Yeah.
Would have been funny if, not funny, obviously, for poor Barbara, but if she used the cowboy boot like as a holster and like shot the hole through it like people do with a paper bag in an old movie, you know?
Yeah.
So just pow, and the fucking heel comes out.
Or
you're shot.
Toe. Yeah.
The toe, boom. So Plucker also said she was nervous immediately after the murder, but her mood changed after Edward arrived at the house.
Yeah.
She said, quote, "After I talked to him, I was totally calm. I put the murder to the back of my mind."
That's cold.
That's some dick.
Yeah.
That's some dick right there.
Yeah.
If you can knock the murder out of a woman's head.
Yeah.
A nice woman who doesn't murder people normally and has shot a woman in the head, and your dick will put that quote to the back of her mind. You are doing something right. So she said that in the interview, she said, "Well, the worst part is over," and they told her the worst part is over, and the prosecutor, and she said, "No, it's not." The prosecutor who was interviewing her said, "What's worse?" And she said, "Saying this in a courtroom with Edward present. It's like a tranquilizer when he's there. I can sit here and tell you he's not the worst person, I can sit here and tell you he's the worst person in the world, but sometimes I don't believe it." And they said, "Do you still love him?" And he said, "Yeah." She said, "Yeah, I worry about what's going to happen to him." She does not. She is just dedicated.
Yeah.
Nope. She told the defense attorney on cross-examination that he called her on June 15th and said that she'd be over with something that is the murder weapon. She described how he pulled the murder weapon from his boot, took out 4 bullets and laid them on the table. She described how he was going over and over and over the plan. And the attorney asked, what did he say? And she questions, and she said she had questions. She said, quote, "Like I said, I couldn't do it. He said I could. I said the gun would make too much noise, and he said it wouldn't. I said someone would see me, and he said it would be dark." So he's got an answer. Nah, you're good. Yeah. You're all right. Just shoot her. She also said that Edward told her to ride a bicycle because a car would be easy to spot. Nosy neighbors. That's the thing. Avoiding that. He said, "Walk up behind her and do it," and that's what I did. So then the lawyer said that when he proposed the crime, quote, "You must have been pretty shook up." And she said, "Not as long as Eddie was present, I wasn't." Wow.
Wow, man.
Yeah, this is fucking wild. So this whole thing goes on with Darlene. During the end of cross-examination, the defense attorney hands Darlene a large diagram of the interior of the McDowell residence, and it was prepared by the prosecution. Also gave her a pencil and said, quote, "Why don't you mark with a red X where you first saw Barbara the night of the killing?" And she got all mad. She made a red mark, and then he walked her through the killing, and, you did this, you shot her, and all this type of shit. While your friend made you coffee, you walked up behind, tried to make her just look as cold-blooded as possible. So he asked if Barbara's shoulders were squared to the sink. And she said, quote, "I imagine they were. All I know is the back of her head was toward me." And he said, "Did you cock the pistol?" And she said, "No." And he said, when the gun actually came up in contact with Mrs. McDowell's head, what did you do next? She said, I pulled the trigger. And then, she said, he said, draw a stick figure of her on the floor.
Oh.
And, so she drew the stick figure. And she was kind of the star witness here, obviously. She testified that they had talked about the killing for months. And everything. The defense lawyer said, if you folks were so active in discussing how to kill Barbara McDowell, don't you think it was a bit crazy to forge her name on a loan on May 26th? She said, I had already done it so many times. What was one more time? I was in deep.
Right.
Fuck it. She said that there was a suicide note that she wrote a suicide note. That's what that was. But then she never tried to kill herself. The note that said, that they found and that Edward turned over to the police. And it said in the note that if she hadn't fallen for McDowell, then she wouldn't write the whole thing. Eddie told her to write this note to incriminate somebody else. There's another note involved. Anyway, the defense attorney said, didn't that seem odd? And she said, nothing Eddie said ever seemed odd to me. She's just...
You guys don't get it. He's got a sweet dick.
Fucking amazing. She told her that she couldn't borrow $5,000 from relatives in Spearfish to explain the checks she had written to McDowell. So the lawyer said, you mean you could kill someone over $10,000 in indebtedness, but you couldn't borrow $5,000 to save yourself? And she said, I guess. So,
sweet dick, sir.
This is, you don't understand, though. It's really like the balls slap just right. You don't get it. It's just right.
It tastes like sugar, sir.
So almost before they're all objecting and everything. This really gets anything she says. It goes back and forth. There's objections. It's a very, very. It's a spectacle, basically.
I'll bet.
And there are people there watching. People have come to watch the trial from out of town.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple where a couple came to celebrate this guy's brother's 80th birthday. Yeah. These people are fucking old. And they decided to stay in town a few more days because of the trial. This is awesome. This lady said, Lucille White, she said, quote, we enjoy this very much. She said that she likes an occasional Perry Mason or Agatha Christie mystery, and this is just intriguing to her. Yeah. She said that she found Darlene's testimony, quote, very touching, and her husband said, quote, I kind of feel a little sorry for her.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. So back to the trial. As a defense, they bring in a guy who... I don't know if this would be for a defense or a prosecution, but they bring in an officer who said that there was a dog one time who got poisoned, and McDowell asked another officer to shoot it because he felt bad and didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, they get the sheriff. No, I don't want to shoot a goddamn dog. They get Sheriff Albers up there, and they just grill him. The defense absolutely fucking grills him. Called him a liar, called him incompetent, said he was misrepresenting facts to the jury.
Yeah.
This was outside of the jury. Albers said, quote, you can't call me a liar. And the lawyer replied, I can call you anything I want outside the hearing of the jury. So, then he said, oh my God, the sheriff said, jury or no jury, you're not calling me a liar. Are you going to handle it in the street or what you can't handle in court?
Oh.
So he's threatening to take him outside and beat him up.
Catch me outside. How about that?
I've seen this lawyer, dude. He's like an old man with bushy gray hair. Like you're
and he's
threatening
saying,
to beat him up outside. It's fucking hilarious. The sheriff's like, I'll kick your old ass. I'll kick your ass, Grandpa. So the dispute arose over who owned a $10,000 certificate of deposit introduced as evidence. The defense said the CD was owned by both Darlene and Ronald, but the prosecution said it was purchased with Ronald's money and belonged to them, so there was a big argument there. Now the defense here, Jesus Christ, what a mess here. The defense, they talk about rent checks and that he's trying to say he didn't have money problems.
Yeah.
So he brings the landlord up there to say, his rent checks don't bounce. What are you talking about here? Edward also told Dennis Johnson, a Canton law officer here, he said that he knew McDowell for 3 years. He said he thought Ed was a good police officer. On July 9th, 83, so after the murder, Ed told him that he hoped the murder weapon would prove to be a .22 caliber pistol, and it appeared McDowell didn't know what the murder weapon was, Johnson testified. And then they brought up that they asked Johnson if he thought McDowell had referred to Albers, the sheriff, this is just gossip in court now, as a, quote, country bumpkin who was not competent.
Yeah.
So they're just bringing it out that he was talking shit about the sheriff, which is fucking hilarious. I love that. Didn't he call him a country bumpkin? Other witnesses they bring in are everybody here. They get Ronald Plucker, and they bring Father Plucker in. Yeah. They got everybody. They have people they used to work with, and all of this fucking shit, talking about his affairs, people talking about, it's wild. That's man. Great. It's a lot. The daughter testifies behind closed doors, and it's about Heather? A technical point. Yeah, Heather. Yeah. No jury, no anybody there. Just the lawyers and the judge. So according to the defense, they need her testimony because it contradicts a statement by Darlene. Now, the defense attorney says, I don't like to call little kids to the stand, but that's pretty important stuff. And according to him, she testified that she was at the Plucker house in tea with Plucker's daughter Jill the afternoon of June 15th, and that Barbara didn't give the girls money to buy ice cream. Plucker testified that Ed. Plucker testified that Ed gave the girls money to go to Dairy Queen, and after that, and after they left, he gave her the .38 caliber revolver and told him to kill his wife. So, who gave them the money is a point of contention. Also, they didn't tell Heather it's a murder trial.
Really?
She's 9, and she thinks that she's on trial for illegal gambling. That's what she thinks she's on trial. She thinks she's testifying, and her dad's on trial for that. Not her. She doesn't think she's. Hey guys, I didn't do nothing. I don't know how to make odds. I swear. Her grandfather, who is right now, Barbara's parents have custody of her. Thankfully, she is told that she's not been told about the first degree murder. She basically the part of the custody deal is they're not allowed to say anything that could prejudice her against her father as part of it's in the paperwork. So he said that we just don't discuss it when she's around. And that's all it is. They said that she's doing better. She did have to go for counseling, but nowadays she's doing better. She's young enough to, I guess, kind of bounce back there. And the father-in-law here also says, Barbara's father also says that he got along well with his son-in-law and wouldn't say publicly whether he thinks that McDowell is guilty or not. Yeah. These people are very classy. Like they asked him that, and he said no comment. That's that. So, I mean, they're just real classy. They bring the mayor in to talk some shit. He decides he's going to testify.
Really?
Edward's got to testify. Oh yeah, he's got to. He's got no choice. He's got to show the jury. They put two completely different, images of him out there, so he's got to show who he is.
That are portrayed are entirely different. And fuck it, if she says he's got a sweet dick and he can just charm everybody, he's going to charm 12 fucking people in a row.
That's the other thing. There's a lot, and later on, that'll come up too again. But a lot of these guys that end up like being their own attorney and shit like that, and they want to testify or be their own attorney because they think if I can just get in front of them, I'll bullshit them. I can make this work. So he admitted on the stand to loan forgeries, gambling, and financial transactions that were questionable, to say the least. Yeah. He admitted to at least a half a dozen extramarital affairs and all this type of shit. But he said, I didn't fucking kill anybody. I don't know what you're talking about. The closings, oh my, they fight back and forth in these closings. The prosecutor says, well, folks, we're going to catch ourselves a liar right before our very eyes, is what he said. And he finds that it's a long-distance phone call placed from the McDowell home to the McDowell's bank in Hartford at 2:30 p.m. on June 15th. He said that he was in Sioux Falls at that time, Ed did, but instead he was making a phone call. So they said, right there, shows he's a fucking liar. So that's all there is to it. He said then the closing for the defense is, I know Eddie didn't go out and do it for the simple reason that you would have never seen the gun again if he was the killer. He said, I know Eddie McDowell didn't give her that gun because he told investigators about the gun. So that's what they're trying to pull. He said he's going to take the gun home, this mastermind, this master of all things criminal. He's going to just have this gun. That's ridiculous. No, that's crazy. So they go into the whole thing. They said, finally, he said, you've got a duty. It may be an unpleasant duty, but for God's sake, do it. Yeah. He tells the jury. So the trial, by the way, lasted 39 days, which was at the time the longest trial in the history of South Dakota.
And
which is
as a murder
hilarious.
trial, I'm glad.
Yeah, well, I mean, like the Angelo Bono trial lasted like a year and a half in California. You know what I mean? Like trials last a long time. 39 days is not that long for a trial at all. So it finally goes to jury. After 39 days, the jury deliberates for 2 hours. Yeah.
That sounds like they heard enough 2 weeks ago.
That's it. Oh, that's the shit, dude. They went for dinner after that and retired for the evening. They met again at 9:30 a.m. and they had a unanimous decision pretty quick there.
Yeah.
So it comes in, and he is found guilty of murder. Obviously, just after the verdict was read, Barbara's parents, Bob and Marie, arrived at the courtroom just after that. So they were a little late for it.
Oh, no.
She cried. The mother cried when she learned about the decision. And you know what she told reporters? Quote, "I feel bad for him. Why did he do this?" Wow. That's how nice these people are.
Wow.
They feel bad he's convicted for it. When asked if he was satisfied with the verdict, the father said, "That's a tough question. I'd rather have my daughter back."
No comment.
Not vengeful, not this, just, I don't know. The whole thing's a piece of shit. My daughter's dead. Who cares?
Right.
Like, these people are really, normal. So they asked the prosecutor, "You said you're going for the death penalty. What are you going to do now? You going to go for it?" Prosecutor Jeff Maston said that he would not seek the death penalty. Yeah. Now, he changed his mind. He said he'll get a mandatory life sentence. It'll just be whether with or without parole. He said that after all these witnesses and everything like that, he said that early in the trial he was going to go for the death penalty, but he said after court he changed his mind. He said, quote, "It's a question that has haunted me since June 16th. Until Saturday," he said he was 100% certain he would ask for the death penalty, but he said he changed his mind after observing jurors during closing arguments. He said the matter of the death penalty could seriously divide the jury, so he doesn't want him to not get it. He said that also several jurors looked relieved when he said that he wouldn't seek the death penalty. And he also said that Barbara McDowell's family asked that he did not seek the death penalty as well. They didn't want the death penalty for him because that's their granddaughter's father. You know what I'm saying? So they don't want her to lose both parents. He also said if a death sentence were handed down, even a small error can result in reversal, makes it a lot more precarious.
We'll do all this over again.
Yep, he said, quote, "To my mind, I'd rather have the conviction and have him sitting in the penitentiary for the rest of his life than to have his life," which is a very mature way to look at it. Sure. I'm sorry, but it is. He said the case boiled down to the period between 2 and 3 in the afternoon that showed that he was lying. He said Ed McDowell made his own bed. There's no question about that. He wasn't in tea between 2 and 3 p.m. Darlene said that that was when the murder was planned, which is what he said. He said, though, the prosecutor, that he felt just great about the verdict. And he said about Edward, though, quote, "I feel a little sorry for his soul, but he lied to us all summer. If you tell one lie, you have to tell 2 more lies to cover it up. He got caught."
Yeah.
That's how wholesome it is around there. They're like, I mean, he lied to us, but I still feel bad for his soul. Just kind people. So he says, quote, "I think justice was done here today. I hope I never have to do another one like this again." So the sentencing comes in. You, sir, may fuck off. Life in prison without parole.
That's it.
Life without.
And she gets, that's stunning.
So she got 50 years. Now, July 1984, Lincoln County files a suit against him, Edward McDowell, while he's in prison to recover money of about $111,000 for his trial. Now he's going to pay for his trial.
He's got what? Is that what happens to the chief of police?
Apparently so. Among the defendants in the suit are McDowell, his brother and uncle, their bookmaking business, 6 out-of-state betting advisory services, and people alleged to have engaged in bookmaking and gambling with McDowell. This whole thing. The county attorney, which is Jeff Maston, the guy who prosecuted him for murder, he said it's his argument that a federal racketeering statute gives him authority to sue for costs of the trial. because the whole thing was involved in that too. He said, I know we proved as a part of the murder trial that McDowell's motive in murdering his wife was to get money to keep gambling, to pay off his past gambling debts. Gambling at the present time in the state of South Dakota is illegal. It was at all times material to the McDowell case. I think the taxpayers in Lincoln County are entitled to have a little contribution back from the people who profited from McDowell. So, in 84, they're definitely investigating his whole gambling activities and everything like that. In 85, he files to have his racketeering lawsuit thrown out, but they say nope, we're going to keep it on in there. He does not get it thrown out. The judge also refuses to dismiss a lawsuit over trial expenses again later in 85. It plows on through. Trial was set to begin in March of 1986. 12 defense lawyers argued that the case should be dismissed, saying there's no evidence to show their clients had anything to do with Barbara McDowell's death, so they shouldn't have to pay for the trial, like his brother and people like that. It's very close degrees of separation here. He also said the transcripts of the trial are riddled with references to his gambling activities. This is the prosecutor, so obviously, his reliance on gambling tip services, all this type of shit. So several defendants were dismissed from the case, though, because they had not been served with the lawsuit, and so it might get, dismissed further. Right. 1989, he appeals very quickly. It was pretty much just a bunch of bullshit, prosecutorial misconduct. He said he didn't get Mirandized at one certain point in between two interviews. Yeah. He's the chief of police. You know your rights.
Steps go.
You know it. I'll tell you what. That's the only time we don't have to read your Miranda rights is if you're the chief of police. Yeah. That's it. That's the only time.
Yeah.
I'll say you should be aware of your rights at that point. If not, you were an incompetent officer. 1990, Darlene is released from prison.
Wow.
She is released.
Out and running. He has several appeals batted back at him. Her ears are still ringing from that night. That is so soon.
1990. For the person that pulled the trigger, I don't care how emotionally manipulated somebody is. You pulled the trigger, shot a woman in the back of the fucking head who was a friend of yours. That's cold-blooded as shit.
Holy hell, man.
That's cold-blooded. So nobody can manipulate that well, you know? So 2003, Edward is still in prison. He's suing the prison. He's suing, asking for 9 medical procedures and several $100,000 in damages. He's acting as his own attorney, of course, because he's a brilliant man.
And nobody's taking this case.
No. It also contains a laundry list of demands, including a digital color television, a gateway computer. What the fuck do you want that for in 2003? A West Bend coffee pot. He wants a certain brand of coffee pot. Approval to join a club to buy DVDs and compact discs.
He wants to be
a part
Sam
of the Columbia Record Club here. And a free weekend in a Sioux Falls hotel before being hospitalized for the medical things that he needs to be taken in for on count 1.
I want a vacation.
In addition to the digital TV and the computer and the whole Price is Right, second showcase showdown, in addition to all of that stuff.
A telephone shaped like lips, all of it.
All of it. A football phone from Sports Illustrated's 1986 edition. He also demands a new electric razor, an ear, nose, and hair trimmer.
Oh, my God.
Headphones, a lighter wheelchair, because he's got to be in a wheelchair a bunch of the times, and, to top it off, a, quote, new pair of Reebok high-top tennis shoes, size 9.5.
Yeah.
This is in a lawsuit here.
I want the pumps.
That's amazing. He wants some high-top Reeboks. He's suing the state health department, the Department of Corrections, for the prison warden, a bunch of doctors. He's suing everybody.
The amount of vanity shit he wants is unbelievable.
That's what I'm saying. He wasn't asking for, I want food and I want proper nutrition. Medical procedures is one thing. If you're going to house somebody against their will, you have to give them health things. That's a thing that you have to do as a human being. But you don't have to give someone a certain brand of coffee maker.
And a night out in a hotel.
Free weekend in a hotel. He's allowed to be out that weekend. Yeah. This is my free weekend before my surgery, and then right back in the pokey.
He's lost his mind in prison, James.
This is wild. He also said that he was subjected to unnecessarily cruel and unusual punishment and discrimination. Okay. It says he's been diagnosed with a partial bowel obstruction, possibly caused by rectal polyps, and a spot found on his lung has yet to be properly diagnosed. As a result, he says he has shortness of breath, wheezing, and little stamina, and has gotten no treatment for that. He's mostly confined in a wheelchair for the last several years. He's been diagnosed with cataracts in both eyes. He's like 55 years old right now. He's a fucking disaster.
The problems of an 88-year-old man.
Oh, my God. He said that prison medical officials ignored, disregarded, and dismissed his questions about cataract surgery, and he also claims he's been denied care and treatment for a throat problem that makes it difficult for him to swallow. He said that in his lawsuit, the first procedure that should be performed is cataract surgery, accompanied by 2 free pairs of eyeglasses. Yeah. That's his request. That's so he can see that TV in the Gateway computer better. Right. He also says that he should get an expense-paid 3-day furlough in a suite, Jimmy, not even a regular room, at the downtown Holiday Inn. He said he's not going too crazy.
I need a bedroom removed from the living area, that kind of room.
Wow, I need a suite. I got to stretch my shit out because a prison room, that's a room. I need a suite, prison cell. A battery of tests and surgery should be performed starting the Monday after the weekend furlough. That's what he's laid out. A judge laughs that the fuck out of court. Yeah. So you out of your mind? No to all of that. Sorry. And on September 6th, 2006, he dies in prison.
Of what?
So at 57 years old, of apparent natural causes is what they got out of
all
it.
Those problems he had? Did he die of cataracts?
Just a huge cataracts pressed on the brain. They said an autopsy will be conducted. The Division of Criminal Investigation is investigating the death, and it's standard procedure on any death of an inmate to do an autopsy. So an autopsy will be performed, but after that, nobody really gave a shit to find out the results of it and didn't report on it, so I don't know what the fuck he died of. But he died of being sick and shit and being like 30 years older than he should have been. That's what he died of.
He died of boredom because he didn't have a TV or a weekend out. Or
he needed that Holiday Inn. That weekend could have saved his life. That's the problem. That one weekend. And Darlene, who knows?
Yeah.
She's out there plucking away.
Why?
I don't know what she's doing.
Why is it so funny, though?
It is. It's so funny. Man, he plucked up bad on this one. I'll tell you
deserves every bit of that, too.
Every little bit of all of that. What an idiot for what everything he did was stupid.
A fast life, James. He did a bunch of
fast
shit.
Eddie.
Jesus, it would take me 50 years to do all that.
Yeah, he was like 35 when he got put in jail, and he had done a whole lot of shit. He was already the chief of police, a bookie, an indebted gambler, killing a wife, divorced. He had child support payments due. He had a lot going on.
Fucking everybody in town.
So, in town, out of town, in the county. That, everybody, is T, South Dakota.
That's the T.
That's the T. It's spilled all over the place. So hope you know that, and Edward's jizz, both spilled everywhere. Hope you enjoyed that. If so, get on Apple Podcasts, that purple icon, give us 5 stars. It helps a lot. Let's just say that. It helps drive us up the charts. Head over to shutupandgivememurder.com right now for all your merchandise needs, all of your ticketing needs, mostly. All of 2022 and the end of 2021, we have some tickets available for these shows, some more than others. A lot of these shows, the tickets were held over. So the people who bought the tickets originally in 2019 still have the tickets. So there is not a ton of tickets available for some of these shows, some more than others. One's like, I think Boston sold out. Right. So like ones like that, there's a few that have just been sold out for 2 years. But other ones, there's some tickets, so get them early and get them now because they, might not be there a year from now when you go to the show because there was very few there to begin with. So check that out. Shutupandgivememurder.com today. All your merchandise there as well. Also, definitely follow us on social media. We are at Murder Small on Twitter, at Smalltown Pod on Facebook, at Smalltown Murder on Instagram. You get to find out all the new stuff that's happening with us, like our new network, which we'll talk about in a second. And also, Patreon.com/Crime and Sports is where you get everything, all the good stuff. That's when we have a ball, man, on those bonus episodes.
That's our furlough.
It's so great. We love that shit. We would do that
at the Holiday Inn.
we would do that even if we weren't recording it. It would just be fun. Jimmy, I'm going to tell you about this crazy shit. And he'd be like, awesome. And we'd talk for 2 hours on the phone. And it'd be the same thing. If I said, Jimmy, call me in a little while, dude. I have to tell you about all of the athletes with the most kids and how fucking bad they are to them. You would be like, oh my God, I'll call you in 5 minutes. And that's the crime and sports bonus this week, which you'll have access to as a patron. In honor of Father's Day, we're going to do the worst athlete fathers we can find, the ones with the most kids from the most different mothers and the least amount of responsibility paid to any of this shit. So we'll do that, definitely. And then for the small town murder one, we're going to do something a little bit different. Don't worry, we're getting back into murdery shit next time when we do some Hillside Strangler stuff. But for right now, this week, we're going to have a lot of fun doing reviews. We're going to do reviews of mostly like bad small town motels, like these shitty one-horse motels that you drive by them and you see two cars and you go, is that place open?
Why are they doing that?
That place is open.
Yeah.
And people are reviewing it, and we're going to find out what the hell they have to say about it. And a few other small town businesses that just have crazy reviews. People get so angry at a hotel review. It's the greatest. They're sitting in the filth, like I said, like watching a roach crawl across the ceiling going, hey, motherfuckers, typing the review. So it's awesome.
I also want to hear the ones where it's probably not as bad as these people make it out. But guess what? It's not as perfect as their fucking house. So they're furious about it.
They're just so angry. They said that there would be, they said the Wi-Fi was this level of broadband and it's that level. It's really picky shit. So you can get all of that. Crime and Sports, Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all of that stuff, and you get access to both and everything, the whole back catalog, everything like that. And you're a producer, so Jimmy will mispronounce your name at the end of the show.
You bet.
And it's beautiful, and very soon, as a matter of fact. And if you just want to be a producer, have your name mispronounced, and you can do that as well over at PayPal using our email address, crimeandsports@gmail.com. Very quickly, subscribe right now to Game of Crimes, our first show on our network that we're putting out here, the Upside Down Digital Network. It is not us hosting it, as a couple people were confused by that. Not us hosting it. Understand that you would be confused. It's actually two other guys who are really good and going to give you a completely different perspective than we could ever give you. Yeah. One of the hosts, Steve Murphy, he's the guy that the blonde dude on Narcos is based after. So we can't give you the perspective of a guy who's had a fucking crazy life like that. That's crazy.
It's impossible.
Pablo Escobar wanted to kill this guy very badly. Can any of you say that for yourselves?
Pablo knew his name.
Yeah, that blonde son of a bitch. You can't say that. None of you. No. And he has a lot of Tommy Bahama shirts. It's a crazy life. So, and then Morgan Wright as well. He's another lifelong officer and also has a lot of crazy stories. These guys are really funny together. And on top of that, the stories they're going to give you from different perspectives. Sometimes it'll be a Colombian drug dealer or Colombian hitman that they busted or that got busted that they're going to talk to from prison, or it'll be a case that you know about but with information you don't know about because they're talking to people that haven't really talked before and shit like that. They get really the inside shit. Game of Crimes. Subscribe right now. Coming out very soon. And then another show.
It's Morgan with all the Tommy Bahamas, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. Yeah. Did I say Steve? Yeah, my bad. It is Morgan with Tommy Bahama.
Morgan's got it. Don't judge him based on that.
Up?
They're great. Yeah. He loves the shirts.
Morgan and Murph, so they're M's, and we get them. I'll get them mixed up in my brain sometimes, but I know who's who. God damn it. Morgan and Murph, man. So there you go. Listen to that right now. And everybody, we just want to say thank you so much for everything you've done. And the only way we can do that, really, is to name as many of you as we can at the end of the show and have Jimmy try to pronounce them properly. So without further ado, Jimmy, please hit me with the names of the most spectacular people on the face of this fucking earth.
This week's executive producers are Kevin Spilker, Rebecca and Travis Isley. They're celebrating their 20th anniversary.
Oh, congrats.
Chelsea Hansen of Bean Love Sanctuary. It's a cat rescue. I don't know where it's at, but Bean
beans?
Love. Yeah. Little beans, little baby beans. It's kittens.
Oh, okay.
Little baby
I thought it was a coffee place.
Also, Jordan Bennett. She's terrific. And Simon, I love you guys.
Both of them.
Penis Rodriguez Jr. the third, James. There's three of those.
All right. Well, 3 penises. Excellent. Tripod.
Also, John McCarthy turned 30, not Big John, just regular John.
Hey, Johnny
happy
boy.
birthday, John. Thomas DeMello is stationed in Germany right now. Be safe out there, buddy.
Hey, definitely.
I think he's stationed. He may not be in the military. He just said
he's
he was
just in Germany. Either way, Germany's not. There's not a lot of war going on in Germany at the moment, so he should be okay.
I made a wild ass assumption though.
He's just
Carl
in the military
Kirshner, Alexandria Krutkiewicz, I don't know. I'm gonna say. I'll be honest. I don't know. Jude Kendall.
Be real honest with you.
Jude Kendall sent the ladle to the Gaylords.
Thank you.
Elizabeth Earle's husband, I think, Aaron Earle, I would assume. I don't know if she took his last name, but it's his birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Georgia Bukal, Susanna Platt, Janice Hill, Jessica Finch, Dustin's wife Danny got out of the hospital. I think it was his wife, may have been his mom. Somebody close to Dustin named Danny.
He might be in the military, he might not. We don't know anything.
Danny got out of the hospital. Yay!
Hey.
Dixon Mouthhugs and Sharon Maholes. Hope you're proud of yourself for that.
Both of them.
Right. Jennifer Stevens, Sarah Caudell, Maud Finlay, Christine Strawberry Christine Destine, Christine McGregor, also Sexual Chocolate, because that's got to be
Sexual Chocolate, everybody. I love Eddie Murphy.
Sarah Surridge and Frank Sidebottom. Rabbi Shmulevich had a finger amputated because it was squashed by the car. Douglas C. Niedermeyer, Sergeant of Arms in Omega House, of course. Augustus Galloop, also Pride of Dusseldorf. Steve Schnell, Lisa Bianca Lana.
Bianca Batuka.
Yeah. Sarah Lee, obviously the best pound cake. John Leon Magnato, Rob Roberts, Bob's obviously. Maria Rasper, James Martyr, Liz Vasquez, Leah and TJ are getting married this weekend, James. Congratulations.
Congrats to you.
Enjoy your day. Lisa Tucker, Frank the South African bird washer. Washer or watcher? I don't know if he washes
Either
them.
way.
Are you washing them? Give him
He
a
just grabs
bath.
them and holds them. I wash that one off good now. He just puts it on.
Is that
He's all
South
clean
African?
I don't know. It's a weird one. It's like in between. It's like a pinched Australian. It's a weird accent.
Amanda Van Hinsberg. Jesus. Ashley Vio. Garrett with no last name. He actually wrote with no last name. AJ. Ricky with no last name. Jake Bird. King Rusty. Anne-Marie Metzler. Mike with no last name. Oski Dumholt. Diana Trippy. Corinne with no last name. Trudy Jones. Nathaniel McCarthy, Aaron Kathleen, Pedro Marquez, Iceman, Brian Vickers, Sue Johnson, Zachary Hall, Catherine Gross, Ian Gibson, Jordan Fahey, Joshua Giacino, Ben Vanden Dreisen, Salvador Cordero, Cynthia O'Connell, Raphael with no last name, Stephanie Kay, Rachel Mosley, Emmanuel Matanzo, yes, Delgado, Emma Kernuck. I'm second guessing myself, even when I'm
Jimmy,
right.
Go, you got this.
Mike oh boy, Crocsh. That's not right. Lori Blanchard, Jesse K. Keegan, Ashley Bird, Victor Kostov. That is Russian as fuck. Becky Galitko, Sarah Leslie. Boy, oh boy. Gaetano Mule, Brandon Bowles, Nikki with no last name.
That Gaetano.
TJ Rossiter, McKenna Lee Wright, Mateo Aristides, Parada, Misty Monlux, Ashlyn, nope, that's Alicia Gavernick, Naomi Ross, Andrew with no last name, Dano Steenkamp, Terry Plaster, Madison Morissette, Ernest Lowry, Sylvan Gamble, Laura Bjorg, Laura Bjorg Bjornsdotter.
That was a good one.
So many Bjors. Zachary Leatherwood, Connor Hession, Caleb Crawdaddy, Jacob Johnson, Stacy Makeley, Goldie 1692, Ashley Hoitima. Herturna, what is that? God damn it. Dante with no last name. Jessica Roberson, KM loves KW, James. Erica Hoops, Ryan, I think, with no last name. Perky Priest Morales, Prudence with no last name. Brian Einloth, Courtney McCullough, Shanna, and Laura. No last names for either of them. Samuel Lucero, Joe Renfro. I'm doing my best.
They're confident. They don't need last names. I know who I am.
That would be amazing if they just did just first names. I think I would still stumble. Kristen.
They wouldn't. Is that me? I don't know.
Kristen Agard, Essence Beasley, Julia Ponce, I think. Ponce like De Leon. JT, Brandy Brooks, Brett Osborne, Aaron Anderson, Torrin Priddle, Emily Jackson, Max Clark, Kenneth Mayo, Anthony Kanokia, Canonica. Scott Bowes, Scuba Gear Service, Andy X, Courtney Clagett, Derek Pogue, Chelsea with no last name, and Jamie with no last name, Joseph Kramer, Poem a Day, Luke, no last name, Adorkable SARS, Shelley Urban, Amanda Huber, Rosanna Brown, Stephanie Boych, Angelia Berkowitz.
Hey,
good God, why is that a tough one?
Confusing one.
Eric Sterling, Christy Goodman, Mary Sider, she's back. Kyle Statz, Darth Jotner, Sarah Nelson, Stephanie Owen, Tom Panos, Kalea Holt, Kalia, Tiffany Bogus, Alexa Price, Julianne Wilson, Libiu Gendel, Healthcare Coalition Partners of Kansas, Ed Lewalk, Levi Robinson, Meeg75, Selena, Zanella, Aaron Combs, Catherine Kresser, Jessica Westfall, Angela Boderf, Anna Salerno, Christina Womack, Chris Evans, not the Captain America guy, I don't think. Melanie Fleeman, Jessica Stewart, Cassandra Meyer, Erica Carlson, Mike with no last name, Holland Soward, Janae McSwain, Angela Carlo, Jana Falconor, Julie Templeton, Casey Passmore, T.E., Sarah James, Jason Rowan, Nathan Bowie, Sean Rice, Bradley Craig, Carly with no last name, Dr. Spicy Brinza. That's it.
Okay.
Karen Stanley, Neil Jezik, Laura Thornton, Sean with no last name, Bob Ackley, Alicia with no last name, Alexandria Murillo, Rachel Barker, Matt Gigliotta? I don't know. Gigliotti? Allison Sellers, Shane and Miranda Creedermacher, Carrie DeCiccio. Nope, DeCiccio. It's Italian as fuck.
DeCiccio or DeCicco or DeCiccio.
I think it's DeCicco. Cheyenne with no last name, Abby Karpowitz, Jennifer M, Martha Carpagian, Yoshiyasu Kato, Thomas Smither, Morgan no last name, Mark Head, Sarah T, Caleb Hargis, Randy with no last name. Esteban lost his password, so he started a new one. Thank you, Esteban.
Well, thank you.
Scary Crap. Boy, oh boy. Jeffrey Smith Sauce with no last name. Jack Steiner, Carrie Gordon, Matt Bankert, Yvonne Lanzo, Trista Ohlendorf, Sean Boyle, Elizabeth Hammond, Carla Bossler, Mia Charisma. It's Charisma. What the fuck is happening? Ryan Zeider.
Chorizo almost.
Harrison Hodge, Carolyn Ochiwala, Ryan Ray Allen, probably not the Four Talents, Octopapa, Jim with no last name, Amy Mulligan, Cuddly Pie Bomb, Hannah Dance, Laura Thomas, Joseph, nope, that's Joseph, Sufflage. I'm sorry, Joseph. Matt Renfro, Philip Waddle, McKenna Lundy, Waspy McTavish, Antiope, Graham Cooper, James Anderson, Griffin M, Shania Ziegler, Patrick McCauley, Tom, nope, that's Ted Perron, Taylor Powell, Josh Peters, Denise Fonger. The fucking amount of French in this shit this week is bananas. Did we go crazy in France? Dakota Ledbetter. What? There's a Ledbetter.
Oh, no. Shut up, Cody.
Martha O'Farrell. What is this? Bernie Carr, 18-wheeling Redneck, Vincent Perham, Evan Miller, Zach Smith, Am Kapatapara, Laura Wilson, Jody Dyer, T. Rose, Jeremy Thomas, Roy Fish, Colton Cochran, a bag of Dragonite. That's what that is. I don't know what a Dragonite is. That's a rock, right? I think it is.
Oh,
it's a mineral.
shit,
Angela Ward, Laurel with no last name, Courtney M, Shauna Penn, Sam with no last name, Sarah Johnson, Gemma Huffer, Megan Rosenberg, Matt Randy, nope, that's Brittany, Hughes, Tulsa Collins, Amanda Taylor, Christ, on a crutch. What is this, Christ?
Brittany the Macho
Chris,
Man Savage.
Rosenhauser Hibbard, Aaron Rogers Porn Stash, Brian Tomac, Gabrielle Frame, Owen Rector, damn near killed her. What? I think I wrote that in. Leslie Metters, Jesse Calley, Kyle Coburn, Josh Anderson, Carol Brewer, Joe Craven, Bridget Coons, Dakota Pritchard, Stephen McFadden, Jamar Harden, Bryce Gilbert, Sean Russell, Amy Rodriguez, Jen Lyson, Joey with no last name, Micah B, Kendra Peterson, Hannah McPherson, Melvin Payne, Sarah Gamble, Amarinda Schumer, Carrie Allen, Ellen McKay, Carly with no last name, Nikki McQuinn, Sylvian, Kylie Burge, Jess with no last name, Kara Hurt, Vincent Graham, Christine Scott, Amanda, nope, that's Adam, Ianetti, God damn it, Mandy Viscuzzi, so many Italian, Jesse Hiller, Colleen Ishiyama, Colette, sorry, Mariette Wagger, Christine Handorf, Dylan Crandall, Kristen Mortar, Saren Goodwin, Sean Burton, Darnell Swallow, Rebecca Legger, Alex Norris, Jonathan Walls, Keisha Campbell, Ada Evans, Venus Logan, Glenn Cavaco, Cassidy Stetcher, Tegwin Feldbush, Corey Kramer, Alicia Devane, Jared with no last name, Catherine Barnes, Samantha with no last name, Jason McLean, Rachel with no last name, Mark Magyar Ying, NG. I don't know, man. I'm doing my best. Flossie May, Laura Blakesley, Spontaneous, Brendan Holdorfer, El Volge, Cameron Mitchell, Shelby Papp, Maddie with no last name, Melissa Weinstock, Wayne York, and a lady named Renee with no last name, and all of our patrons. You guys, thank you so much for making that so difficult on me.
Thank you so much, everybody, for all that you do for us. Honestly, we couldn't do anything without you.
No.
You guys are all of you, the producers, you're the ones that keep the ship going. You really do, because you're the ones that make us go, well, we don't fucking care about advertisers. We're not going to have 10 commercials a show. We're not going to do stupid products that you don't want to hear about because you guys make it so we don't have to do that, and we can concentrate on making the show better for you. So thank you for doing that so much. And what if they wanted to talk to you and thank you? How could they do that, Jimmy?
I'm on the internet. That's where most of the conversation is had, and I appreciate you guys doing that. You're on the internet?
Oh, I am. Yeah. I am over at somewhere there. You can just Google us and find us. You know how to Google shit.
The Google website works out.
Google the show, find us either way. Just do it. Just keep coming back and listening. We don't care. And then subscribe to Game of Crimes and keep listening to this every single week. Keep coming back because we're not going to stop.
No.
And until next week, everybody, it's been our pleasure.
Bye.
If you like Small Town Murder, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer.
I can really show you how to make some money.
And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.